Need to order. If everyone will please salute the flag with me. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Okay, we're going to call the roll and declare any conflicts of interest, please.
Councilmember Abram? Here and none. Councilmember Bixel?
Here and none.
Councilmember Moniz?
Here and none.
Vice Mayor Franco?
Here and none. All right, thank you. All right, on to approval of the minutes, approval of the agenda as posted or amended.
So moved.
Second.
Have a first, motion and a second,
And third.
and a third. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Abram? Yes. Councilmember Bixel?
Yes.
Councilmember Moniz?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Franco?
Yes, passes 4-0. All right, on to proclamations, recognitions, appointments, announcements, presentations, and briefings. Presentation, Turlock Police Department, Animal Services, Adoptable Pets. Who do we have today? Do we have a little puppy? Kitty?
Oh, you better move fast.
Oh, how cute.
So this is Pinto Bean. She is
Nice.
one of 33 dogs that we currently have adoptable at our shelter. She is approximately 6 months old, female, Queen's Little Miller mix. I've been spending a little extra time with her, getting her ready for tonight. But as you can see, she's very trainable, very sociable. She loves everybody. She loves the cat in our office.
Very cute.
So we would love somebody to come down and take her home.
Pinto Bean.
Pinto Bean. She was found on Pinto Way.
Oh, cute. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
How old is she?
6 months.
6 months old. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Pinto Bean is ready for a forever home.
She really is, and I'm very proud of her.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Come on, baby.
Bye, Pinto. Cute. All right. Next, we're going to have the 2023 Active Military Banner Retirement. Ms. Packwood. All right, Council?
Good evening. I am Karen Packwood, your Deputy Public Works Director, and tonight I have the honor to recognize our 2023 Active Military Banner Program participants. A little bit of history in regards to the Active Military Banner Program. This program was established in 2017 as a way to honor the men and women currently serving our country. These are the service members of the United States military who should know that their hometown supports them, is proud of them, and thanks them daily for their service. Banner terms are 1 year, with our banners on display on Countryside Drive from Veterans Day to Veterans Day. To date, this program has honored 157 active military service men and women, which we're very proud of. I want to express our sincerest appreciation to Firehouse Dispensary here. Firehouse Dispensary has been the sponsor of this program since 2020, and we are greatly appreciative of their support and commitment of this program. Their sponsorship covers the cost of the banners, so the families don't have to pay anything for the banners on display. Tonight, we're here to recognize the 21 community members that were on display for the 22-23 term. Unfortunately, a handful of them were not able to be in attendance tonight, but as you saw when you walked into City Hall, along the hallways there, we did put their banners on display, but we still feel that it's really necessary and appropriate to recognize them. So first, we have Alex Bradley, who is a Marine. We have Scott Badal, Marines. George King, Army, sorry. Jared Chunig, Marines. Ashley Bay, Navy. Kellen Bullet Blewett, Marines. Jamie Stroop-Kalinowski, Army. Oh, shoot. I'm off. It did. there we are. Jamie Stroop-Kalinowski. We have Josiah Leonardo Arriaga, Army. Drake Malapard, Navy. Andrew Martinez, Army. Mason Moreno, Marines. Thomas Husselstein, Air Force. Brandon Perriott, Army. Maxwell Sanders, Coast Guard. Kiani Souza, Marines. And that is for those that were not able to be in attendance tonight. So if we could please give them all a round of applause. Do we have a representative for Justin Yannikas? And Justin is in the Navy. Oh. Awesome. Thank you. Come on up. Come on up. So we have Justin, a representative on behalf of Justin, who is in the Navy. If you could come back up or stand up, we're going to take a picture at the end as well, okay? Next, we have Kelly Coelho. I know Kelly's in attendance tonight. Kelly, come on up. Kelly is in the Army. Thank you, Kelly, for your service. Do I stand here? Next, we have Marcus Robinson in the Army. Mom and Dad are here on behalf of Marcus tonight.
Thank you so much.
And we have family members representing Sydney Dobbin, who is in the Air Force. And Justin's family, if we could take a picture. Awesome. Thank you all.
All right. Thank you. My apologies for being late. Traffic is not always our friend. So the next is the appointment for the Turlock Mosquito Abatement District Board of Trustees. And I would like to continue with Aaron Hackler.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Aber?
Yes.
Councilmember Pixel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Franco?
Yes.
Councilmember Moniz?
Yes.
Mayor Bublak?
Yes, and it passes 5-0. Thank you, Aaron, for doing that. Director Moreno, Finance Department project list. Probably like 2 things, not much. 4.
You're just in time for the good stuff.
Ah.
Thank you, Honor Mayor and council members. Today you have in front of you is a presentation of our overall project list. It's not inclusive of everything we do. Obviously, some of the higher level, bigger projects that we're currently looking at in the finance department. So the current list that we're looking at, we won't go through the whole thing today, but just give you an overview of some of what the list looks like and some of the bigger projects. One is a user fee study. The next one is an impact fee update. Strengthening customer service and billing department. It's really just looking at assessing how that overall format and structures. Forming a community facilities district or CFD. Issuing debt for the roads program. Sewer rate study. New procurement policy. TOT or transient oxygen tax audits. TOT updates, which we've talked about previously. And drafting new policies. Again, some of these have long-term objectives, short-term objectives, but today we're going to go through some of those projects and what they actually look like. So for the first one, we have the user fee study. So what is basically the user fees that we collect? The user fees are basically what we see for, we could say a garbage, or not garbage sale, but a building permit, energy engineering, can't talk today, and engineering permits, public service fees. It could be a business license, although it's a tax. And what that structure looks like. Why is that important? Why do we look at this? You really need to assess these, like I've said, in all fees on more of a 5-year schedule and what that looks like. So you can do a study to be able to comprehend what that looks like for this format, which they do is really a time study. So they look at, let's say, a building permit, who touches that permit, who is involved, and how much time do they put into it, and what is that cost factor, including overhead. The objective for a user fee study, like most of the things we do, is not to make money. It's to break even and cover our costs. If we're unable to cover our costs, obviously we can't produce and give the services that we really want. So this is really what this service or this overall study does. So again, looking just to update it. The overall flow of this study, a lot of people think, well, you're just going to raise all the rates. No, actually, you'll see rates go down. You'll see an ebb and flow of the whole thing because the studies change, processes change, efficiencies are created. So it's not just a raise the rates. It's a combination of different things. Next one is similar to the user fee study. It's a development impact fee study. So what are development impact fees? Development impact fees are part of the Mitigation Fee Act. What we do is when you have new construction and things that are going to impact the city, there's a fee that is assigned to that on how they're going to be impacting the overall. Some examples of them are park impact fees, police impact fees, fire, and also roads. So again, it goes back to really assessing what these reports are. This is actually a large study that takes all of our capital improvement plans. It looks at our future growth and how that's all going to build out so that we can maintain that future growth, because if you're going to come in, we mitigate what that impact is going to look like. Every impact, let's say from a development standpoint, impacts public safety in some format, right? More houses means we need more public safety, which means we need more infrastructure or whatever that may look like. Maybe a new house somewhere in the sense of the way, or a station, and to be able to compensate for that growth factor. So that's what that project looks like. It's really, these are not new items. These are updating what we're currently looking like to make them to the standard of what they need to be. Procurement policy. So again, procurement policy is a guideline or a book in which we do and how we purchase things. It sets boundaries on how a process looks. If you're going to establish a PO, do you need to get 3 quotes? Can you say it's one action we took recently was signing authority of the city manager. It's really setting the guidelines on how we do things. This practice actually is more important. It's really more structured around the federal guidelines. We have a procurement policy in place. It is dated and really needs to be updated. Although we've been taking little whacks at it, it's really no time to get a full federal guideline around the whole thing, especially with all the federal dollars that come in because of transit. So that's what this study is currently doing. TOT audits. So what this looks like is, we talked previously about TOT and what that is, a transient occupancy tax. It's a collection of revenue on top of hotel people that come in and stay at our locations or our city. What this is again, mitigating the impacts overall, what that looks like. What this is actually doing something similar to what you do is a sales tax audit. Staff's going to go in and say, okay, let's look at your records and verify the information that you provided us and the tax that you provided us is accurate and fulfilled. It's more of going through, assessing, and educating people too as well, not just saying, open your books and show me the money. So it's really going through, you really want to do this at least every 2 years. It's really just to educate people and say, look, this is what I'm seeing. Okay, well, this is what you really should be looking at too as well, and really capturing that revenue that's due to the city. So that's how the overall tax works. And we'll really look at this again too, potentially if we change what the number is. So that's a high-level overview of some of my bigger projects. Do you have any questions?
Questions for the director? Okay, let's open it to the public. Anyone wishing to discuss this item that he just presented? Okay, I'll close public comment, and thank you, Director, for your presentation.
Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing what comes of that. Okay, before I start the public participation, real quick, Mr. Freitas, you have a couple things. Are you wishing to speak in regard to the item on it or under public comment? You have a couple items that kind of are about the item later, so I didn't know if you wanted public comment or you were waiting for that item. Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna open the public participation up and the time set aside for you to ask some questions, tell us what you're thinking, and we will start with the library. Ms. Mendoza. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Karina, and I am the branch manager of the Turlock Public Library. We have been so incredibly busy this month. I can't even tell you. So if you give us a call and if we don't answer till the fourth ring, please be patient with us. And hopefully we don't lose you if we put you on hold. So again, apologies because phones have been ringing off the hooks and we are incredibly busy, and I am so appreciative of that fact. Currently we are doing a winter reading. It's a completely online program through the Beanstack app. For adults, if you read a book, you log it and you'll get a ticket to a virtual bucket. And each bucket is a prize, and if you are a Fourth Wing fan, in case you're not sure what that is, it is a book that is hopping. Like, it is very popular. Dragons are involved. It's great. But you can win the first and second book, a special edition copy, and then there's all kinds of stuff that go along with it. We're also giving away a Keurig, all kinds of different bundles. I don't remember off the top of my head. But adults rarely participate, so your odds of winning are fabulous. Highly recommend doing it. If you sign up, you get a little free little pin, and it's the cutest little thing. I should have brought one as an example. It's a little polar bear reading a book. It's cute. The program is also for 0 to 17, and there's all different age-appropriate prices for them as well. Starting next month, Wednesdays at 12, right when we open, AARP is coming out to do free tax services again. We recognize that not everyone can afford to do taxes or understands how to do their taxes, so we're very happy to partner with AARP for this program. It'll be running February all the way till tax day, with the exception of February 28th and March 6th that we have to kind of close the community room off for the election. And let's see. Oh, we started doing a new thing where every Tuesday at 4 o'clock we have a program for kids. We have 2 separate programs that coordinate together. Yes, we're a little crazy trying to do 2 programs at the same time. We have a program for basically 0 to about 8 years old in the community room, and then we have a coordinating program for like the tweens and the teens. So today, for example, the littles did superhero masks. And in the makerspace, we did sleep masks. They used the sewing machines and created these really cool little sleep masks. We have STEM activities as well. We are doing a DNA program next month where we have the littles creating DNA models out of candy, and then the teens and the tweens extracting DNA from strawberries. So we're doing all these amazing, really cool activities, and I'm very happy to be able to bring them to our community.
Good job.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bill?
Good evening, Milt Treeweiler. I'm a Turlock citizen. I was born here in Turlock 78 years ago. Today I'm going to talk about corruption in government. Representative Tim Burchett, Republican, Tennessee, one of the more colorful conservative members of the U.S. House, told Huffington Post he stands by remarks he made, which he said some of his fellows were likely victims of blackmail. And when asked if he believed there were House members who had decided how to vote based on compromising materials about them held by foreign powers, Burchett said, absolutely, and other powers. It doesn't just come from foreign powers. Next thing you know, you're in a hotel with them, unclothed. Next thing you know, you're about to make a key vote. And what happens? Some well-dressed person comes up and whispers in your ear, hey man, or hey lady, there are tapes out there on you. Were you in a motel room or whatever, or whoever? And then you're likely to say, and they say, you really ought to not be voting for this thing. What I'm going to say is the same thing can happen to anyone, even here in Turlock. Blackmail is just one method that dishonest people use. There's also bribery and intimidation. In my 10 years of attending public meetings, I've seen all three. Always be aware of what's going on around you. There are dishonest, untrustworthy, and unethical people here in Stanislaus County and Turlock. There are people here who worship money, power, and pleasure. We must protect our freedom from corruption here in Turlock and in the United States. We must be vigilant and not allow these things to happen in Turlock or in our country. So keep that in mind and work hard to make sure that this doesn't happen in Turlock.
Lori Smith?
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff, public. Lori Smith. I just want to respond to a comment that was made at the end of the last council meeting, and it was, quote, "When you hear all these people that come up to talk about their businesses downtown, I hope that every one of them has signed up for FUSIS. I can't imagine how much more helpful that would be. I'm not sure what's slowing us down on that progress because that's going to be very beneficial," end quote. While FUSIS may be beneficial after a crime is committed, what would be most beneficial would be to put a stop to the reason we need these cameras in the first place. It's like going to a doctor that gives you a prescription and for your symptoms, but doesn't try to cure your disease. As was reported by staff at the last council meeting, they were working on flyers for FUSIS. The downtown business owners didn't have the information yet needed to sign up, but a few days after that meeting, we had the privilege of Director Sims and Director Lohr going door to door, and I want to thank them for that. Director Sims has been a regular face downtown recently, and I think that personal contact goes a long way. With that being said, some of us have tried to sign up for FUSIS, and several of us have found that our cameras aren't compatible. On another note, I'd like to bring up that it was January 2023 that you chose to end the ARPA-funded RAD card program. At that meeting, many of you stated that it was your desire to use these funds to help small businesses, and here we are a year later, and I was just wondering if we can get an update on that. That's it. Thank you.
I have no other cards. Is there anyone else who, oh, I do have a card walking this way. Thank you so much. No, that's fine. Okay, Julie? You wanted this, or did you want the item?
I wanted to talk about in support of this shelter.
Okay, that's gonna be on item A, so if we can hold off on that, is that all right?
That's fine.
Thank you so
yeah.
much. Okay. All right, anyone else who did not fill out? Oh my goodness, they're slowing up there. You're gonna get your pedometer up, buddy. Yeah. All right. Okay, it's navigation there. All right, anyone else? Okay, come on up.
Good evening. My name is Karen Scheller. I spoke before you here last month. In the event that there was any confusion regarding my intentions, I would like to clarify I am not here as a disgruntled, dismissed volunteer or a disappointed city employee candidate. My motive is to help the dogs, and solely the dogs. My passion will continue to be with the dogs. Tonight, I am here again to bring your attention to the senseless killing of 2 more dogs within the last month by the Turlock City Animal Shelter. These dogs had rescue lined up for them. This is Bud and Joker. Both dogs had dozens of people working around the clock to get them into rescue. Bud was to be placed with a rescue specific to his breed of Walker Hound. I personally contacted Lucky Dog Rescue out of Pleasanton regarding Joker on January 3rd. On January 6th, Patricia from Lucky Dog contacted Rescue Coordinator Jamie Feria via email and text. Patricia requested dog-to-dog video and temperament notes on Joker, which is a normal protocol for rescues. She received none. On January 9th, Joker and Bud were both killed without any communication to Lucky Dog or anyone else working to save them. If rescues were given even a few hours' notice, Bud and Joker would be alive today. Why was rescue not extended the common courtesy of the intent to euthanize? A policy must be implemented that shelter staff ensure there is no active interest from rescues or no pending temperament testing requirements prior to euthanizing dogs. It's apparent that the Turlock shelter continues to be resistant to working with rescues and the community. Why will shelter management not accept the dozens of offers to help coordinate rescues? What is the purpose behind not embracing positive changes within the shelter? The outcome would be saving dogs' lives, dogs that deserve a second chance at a loving and warm home. Last month, you told me a city council member would be reaching out to me before the end of the week. I still have not heard from anyone. I continue to ask the city council and city government, step up, utilize the knowledgeable resources that are available to you to make improvements in the Turlock City Animal Services. Thank you.
Ricky Edwards, are you a topic of the Navigation Center or just general? Okay, come on up then, please. Ma'am, can you just give it to our clerk and then she'll hand out later? Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi.
Thank you.
I can start right now.
Go ahead. You're fine. You okay? You all right?
Yes.
Okay.
So my name is Ricky. I am an employee at a business right down the street, Belforte. I just want to make you aware of an incident that happened yesterday with a homeless gentleman right in front of our business. I found him masturbating, and I had to call the authorities, which they did attend to the call, and I had to make video. I also had a young employee that was also working that witnessed it as well. It has been an ongoing problem that the incidents seem to be getting more severe, and the interactions with the homeless have been getting more severe. He also, mind you, when the officer arrived, the officer surprised him without his knowledge, and he just lit up a crack pipe like right there without knowing that someone was right behind him. Not the officer.
Right.
Thanks for clarifying that. Yes. So that happened, which was great. But then I also had to claim as a victim, so I may be going to court. This took hours out of my day. It affects our business. You're on this street. Parking already is terrible. No one wants to park next to a home of a homeless that is taking up an entire parkway. I also believe that it seems like the majority of the business owners or employees downtown are women. We are single women who are running the show by ourselves, and that's scary. It really opened my eyes because I'm pretty empathetic, and I feel like I treat everyone equal. But there are certain situations where you have to do things that you don't want to do, you know? So, and that's a hard thing to do in general, but as a woman, even harder. So, yeah, I feel like I don't know what needs to be done, but something needs to be done, and I feel like we should be protected, and we shouldn't have to do this. We shouldn't have to deal with this, and that's it.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes, come on up. Public comment.
So nervous.
Oh, and he came back. It was my drink.
Thank
He
you.
came back today. Sorry.
Yeah. Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, and members of the Turlock community. On the previous council meeting from 2 weeks ago, I would have spoke longer if it was 5 minutes, but I couldn't because of the 3 minute limit on public comment. So my take on this issue that's been ongoing for years now is that this whole fabric of the community is now becoming a meme locally, and it's not really good. And for me, when that phrase is basically a form of performative politicking for votes and money, because the people here, they're empathetic and they know that people do need help, but at the same time, you have it's getting out of hand. Our infrastructure is crumbling. Businesses are not getting more customers, and if we want Turlock to grow, is this what we want? Is this the image of our town? We can't afford this. Also, from Sacramento giving money to open up these day shelters and there on solutions, these are band-aid solutions. The only way we need to do that's been proven that worked right is in Houston, Texas, and Helsinki, Finland, where they do have housing first approach with programs that will allow homeless people to get counseling, medical care, job training, education, you name it, because here not it's happening all over California and in the United States, and the issue is that we don't have a strong safety net for housing, for medical care, for mental health, for financial aid for people falling into hard times. So we need to do something. We need to tell Sacramento and Washington, D.C. to do something to pass realistic solutions that will work. Because otherwise, if we keep pursuing band-aid solutions, the homeless that do really need help, they're not getting any help. You're going to have residents getting upset at you for not doing anything about it. Our quality of life will go down, and we're going to lose business opportunities because Turlock used to be a crown jewel of the 209. Not anymore. Our infrastructure is crumbling. Businesses are leaving. Residents are moving out. Housing costs so high, nobody can't afford to live here anymore. And this, on top of that, that situation is getting way out of hand, and leaders need to do something because it's going to get really ugly in the long run. Thank you.
Anyone else? I'm sorry. Did you had wanted something pulled? Okay, that's also okay. Sure.
Not specific to that. Yes, Madam Mayor, Council, City Manager. Just my concern tonight is the progress or lack of progress on our traffic issues in Turlock. Do we have some sort of plan that can be enlighten us to what the plan is? It's not a day goes by, not a portion of the city goes by that you don't see more and more people running red lights. Left turns. I mean, if you're a stop sign, you can't even decide to cross the street until you look 3 ways, okay? Because the light turns green and there's still people coming through. Part of it might be an issue like on Main Street and Lander. That light, for some reason, in the mornings when we're going to work, it turns green. You get time for 3 cars to get through there, and that's it. And then it turns yellow. So guess what? People are running that light. Maybe that's one of the issues. I don't know. But it just seems like the more I hear from more and more people all over town, and I know because, like I said, any day that you go out on that street, you see it. People running red lights, running stop signs, turning left without stopping, turning right, definitely not even slowing down. So there needs to be something to bolster the safety, the traffic safety. And so do we have a plan? I'd like to know, and I'm sure a lot of other people could. I get phone calls and they ask me, I said, how do I know? So anyway, we'd like to see that addressed if possible, and maybe get some information out. Thank you.
Anyone else? Jason?
Well, as most of you know who I am starting an NA and AA group from previous experience of my own. And I think it would be greatly appreciated if the city looked into putting it into a warming and cooling center so we can touch the hearts of the homeless community and whoever is struggling with addiction. I just want to remind the community to be safe, make better decisions, and don't drink and drive. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? You're already up. No, you're next.
Yeah, I'm Sherelle Tapley. I've been homeless for 23 years.
You have that for the, I thought you want to talk about the navigation center?
Yes.
Okay, we're not yet there.
Okay,
Okay,
all
I'm sorry.
right.
I have you on here. Anyone that just public comment, not the navigation center? Come on.
Good evening, everybody. I'm actually a newly resident here in Turlock. And I just want to say, man, this is an amazing city here, town. Really rich in the faith. I sense that strongly here. I'm actually part of the homeless community. I reside at the We Care program. Incredible program, by the way. You guys are doing a phenomenal job.
We can't talk about that right now. If
Yeah,
you talk about something
absolutely.
else. Yeah, thank you.
I did have a concern, and I'm just gonna be quick, less than a minute. The statue, I believe it's called the Califia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just curious on that whole thing. I was actually looking it up the last week, and I was just very kind of taken back by it. I'm not really too sure on the culture of it and the history of that and what that actually symbolizes. But this town being a town of faith, I believe that statue is very, how do I say this, distracting, so to speak. So I guess, yeah, I know our words have power in that. And so I did read that years back there was discussions on getting it taken down. And so, yeah, that's basically all I got, and leave it to you guys with that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Good evening. I haven't heard that statue mentioned for quite a while.
Flashback.
Okay, please pull consent item 5C. C is in cat. Okay, in 2007, the city contracted with Cal State Stanislaus to conduct a study of the homeless situation in Turlock. Here are some of their observations. There is a great deal of mistrust, skepticism, anger, and frustration over the issue of homelessness in Turlock. There are a number of services available in Turlock to assist those who are homeless, but there is evidence that many service providers do not work together in achieving the goal of reducing homelessness. Inadequately informed decisions surrounding a response to homelessness have resulted in unintended consequences to residents and businesses. In order to move persons out of homelessness, they will need to be surrounded with services, programs, and aid. These must be coordinated, must have clear and consistent objectives with the overall goal of moving persons out of homelessness, and must provide evidence that the intended outcomes are being achieved. A homeless shelter must acknowledge and address the impact of the shelter on the surrounding area. Effectively responding to homelessness requires a data management system and ongoing data collection and analysis. Organizations including the police department, hospital, and school district should be included. The community needs better data in order to determine if steps taken to alleviate homelessness are having a positive effect. 20 years later, these observations and recommendations are just as valid, while the homeless situation in Turlock has gotten significantly worse. Back in 2007, I think their point in time count was 97. Last year was 233, I believe. In my opinion, without transparency and accountability of the service providers and their willingness to cooperate with the city and with each other towards the goal of reducing homelessness in Turlock and making public safety a priority, and without requiring the taking of responsibility on the part of the homeless, we will continue the pattern of failure that we have seen for the past 2 decades. This will require strong, principled leadership who is willing to follow the facts and is willing to buck the entrenched powers who seem to be more concerned about building up their infrastructure than reducing homelessness in Turlock. Ooh, perfect timing.
Anyone else for public
you.
comment? Ryan? Julie, you're next.
Hello, my name's Ryan Taylor.
You're okay.
I often come up here and complain about things like the timer being changed from 3 minutes to 5 and rad card and where those funds. But I'd like to come up here today and tell you guys something good that you did recently that I noticed. So if you drive from Taylor to Golden State, going down Golden State as if you're heading towards Keys, that road used to be very bumpy. Like, I drive an old 2002 Toyota Tacoma, and I was worried that going down that road my car would just rattle apart. But driving down it like 2 or 3 days ago, and I noticed that road was just paved and it was nice and smooth, and I really appreciated that. So thank you for getting that work done and working on our roads like that. I greatly appreciate that kind of work being done. Thank you.
Julie, you filled out one. I'm sorry. Did you want to talk about the navigation center or independent? You want to do both? Well, we'll do the navigation center a little bit later if that's okay. You had any other thing that was non-navigation center? Come on up. Let's see what you got.
You know, I don't like to come up here anyway.
We'll make you come twice just to get over the fear, right?
What I was going to do, and perhaps I should sit back down again, is communicate that some of the comments made were not my experience, were based in what I perceived as the reality of the situation.
Regarding the study?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
As it was I who suggested to the city manager at that point in time that we utilize the university. That was my suggestion, and it was followed. But the suggestions that, at least from We Care, I can't speak specifically to TGM, having been involved and been on the board for several years, they are nothing if not transparent. They are also not magic, and it is not within a shelter's power to solve or fix this problem. This is a very deep problem at the national and local level, and one shelter cannot fix those issues that the report spoke to. Additionally, that report, much of it does still stand true, but the reality is that without housing or without a large county mental health facility, there is nowhere to put people. It's really quite simple.
No, back over here, please.
It's really quite simple. And so I guess I would love it if people refrain from making comments that were in fact erroneous. It would be helpful to the larger public, I think. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment before we move on? Justin, welcome.
All right, let's get this up to Justin. Good evening, everyone. Justin Farkas here. I am one of the field representatives for Assemblymember Juan Alanis, representing Assembly District 22. Just finished up our mobile district office hours right across over in the El Capitan room. Really grateful for the city of Turlock allowing us to be accessible to our constituents. We're going to be holding those monthly preceding the city council meeting every month through the remainder of the year. So again, thank you to the city of Turlock. Just wanted to come by and give a few legislative updates, some of the things that we've been working on here at home and in Sacramento. So starting with some new business. So this year, Assemblyman Alanis has received some new committee appointments. Last year, we were a member of 7 committees and had 1 vice chairmanship. This year, we have 6 committees, but have been promoted in a sense to a second vice chairmanship, and those committees are as follows. Starting with public safety, we are the vice chairman and have retained that vice chairmanship in that committee. We have been promoted to the vice chair of the agriculture committee. Really resonates with our district well. We have retained our position as a member of the business and professions committee, Water Parks and Wildlife Committee, and two new committees that we have added, being Labor and Employment. We're a newly appointed member of that committee, and Military and Veterans Affairs. So really works well with the fabric of our district, the fabric of the people that we represent, and we are excited to be representing all of you in Sacramento on those committees. Going on to some of the legislation, we have introduced 8 new bills this year, adding to the 21 that we introduced last year. 5 of those were signed by the governor. Those that weren't signed are going to be reintroduced this year alongside these 8 new ones, delving into, of course, the realm of public safety, but also education, at-risk youth, affordability, and other key issues that we see this year. And finally, we are going to be starting up, hopefully have them put together by the end of the month, advisory committees. We're going to be specifying 3 key issues. The first being retailers, the second being insurers, and the third being agriculture. So if you know anyone in any of those spaces or one of those people yourself and would like to be involved in some of the policy and knowledge building for our member to take back to Sacramento, that would be extremely helpful. Thank you, guys.
Anyone else before we close public comment to move on? Okay, we'll close public comment real quickly. Ms. Smith, I apologize. I thought the fuses was moving along faster, so I was wrong, but I look forward to that helping with the ability to at least see things. Traffic, really quickly, would you address what's going on with traffic? Because I know you guys are doing a tremendous amount of work on that and have more coming.
Traffic's always been an issue. It's a challenge for us. We do have 2 dedicated motor officers and a motor sergeant who are out issuing citations. We also frequently welcome the site team. That's a countywide team comprised of motorcycle officers from the City of Modesto, City Series, Turlock, Stanislaus County Sheriff's Department to come out and issue citations. We're doing a public campaign on that. So we get them out here as often as we can. Our patrol officers are also encouraged, and if you see in our weekly stats, they've stepped up enforcement. They're stretched pretty thin, running between calls and doing reports, but still they've made an effort to address traffic concerns as well. Our traffic unit has been dedicated to some of the hot spots. We've received some grants recently that allowed us to put more educational opportunities out there in terms of radar speed trailers. We have one of those on order. I believe that the second one will be coming in. We've redeployed a lot of our trying to think of the term, the decoy cars out to remind the public to slow down. I'm told, as of our staff meeting this afternoon, that they are all out on the road as an asset, and that patrol's actually taking that responsibility to make sure that they're out in our community as an extra visual deterrent. What else? I want to make sure I'm not missing anything here. We continue to study traffic, what it is, and how we're comparing to other cities. I have our annual report coming up here. I'll probably be delivering that in March. We're trying to get real good data for the community so that we can put that out. But I wanted to see how we stack up. And this is something that it's an issue. Distracted driving has become more prevalent. People need to put down their phones and focus on driving. That is our safety message. We're also using social media as a platform to drive that message. So important to focus on the task of driving and slow down. And I remind our residents, I remind my own family, as you're approaching intersections, you can't just trust that people are going to stop. You have to be vigilant and care for your own safety. But just know that the police department team is out there. We're looking at avenues and steps that we can take. We're constantly pursuing grants, doing DUI enforcement, DUI checkpoints, anything that we can do. And I hope that the information that we're putting out on Facebook in terms of numbers and data show you that we're making a significant effort in that area.
Hey, Chief?
Yes?
Do you need more cops?
We do, yes.
You need more money?
Absolutely.
Have we given you, I mean, if we can give you more money, we're happy to do it.
Yeah, no, we're approaching the budget. The problem is hiring the cops.
There you go.
So we've been giving the allocated funds for police officers. We're trying everything that we can. We've underfilled a police officer position that was recently funded by the council with 4 cadets to try to create a pipeline to the academy. The realistic picture is it's tough to hire police officers because we have a high set of standards. And just this week, I interviewed 4 that we'll be sending to the academy. 2 of them didn't make it, unfortunately, because they have to be able to pass a law enforcement background, and they have to meet the standards of what the residents of Turlock expect from a Turlock police officer.
Thank you. Okay, motion waiving reading of all ordinances on the agenda except by title.
So moved.
Second.
A motion is second. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Abram?
Yes.
Councilmember Bixel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Franco?
Yes.
Councilmember Moniz?
Yes.
Mayor Bublak?
Yes. Okay, passes 5-0. Consent calendar, item C. Charlie is being pulled by 2 people. Other than that, is there any others?
Move to approve.
A motion?
Second.
Second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Abram?
Yes.
Councilmember Bixel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Franco?
Yes.
Councilmember Moniz?
Yes.
Mayor Bublak?
Yes, passes with a 5-0. I will open the public to talk about the emergency. There was 2 people, both Gil and then Ron.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, City Manager, Attorney, staff. The first couple of things I had, just basic housekeeping. On the second paragraph, page 1, I'm trying to figure out why are we brining the capacity of beds? Brining, I don't know, I brine my turkey, but, okay. Second page, there's a discrepancy I was trying to figure out. The third paragraph says, on July 13, 2021, Turlock City Council voted to terminate the local emergency in response to unsheltered homeless encampment. And then a couple of paragraphs later says that the unsheltered homeless crisis City Turlock, which was ratified by the Turlock City Council, both on the same date, July 13th, 2021. So that's probably just basic housekeeping, but anyway,
Sure.
I wanted to bring it up, make sure we're voting for what we're supposed to be voting for, okay? And then, to go on, a couple of questions. I'm hoping that everyone up here has studied and read the resolution that you're about to vote on. A couple of questions, a couple of things I wanted to point out on page 3. Top paragraph says, in addition to offering emergency shelter to unsheltered individuals and families, the primary focus of the local emergency will be to connect homeless individuals and families with an array of social services and to attempt to reconnect homeless individuals with their families. Okay? So just make sure everybody read that and understands it. We all have the same interpretation of what that might mean. Then we go to the whereases, and we have the second whereas is homelessness is one of the most important and pervasive challenges facing the state of California, California counties and cities. Okay, just highlight these. Whereas these aforementioned factors, as well as other detailed in the attached proclamation, constitute a local unsheltered homeless crisis that requires continuing and immediate emergency action. Okay. Couple down. Whereas city staff from all city departments are prepared to continue to engage in an ongoing effort designed to reverse the trend of increasing unsheltered homelessness within the city of Turlock, while a comprehensive planning effort continues. And we go to Exhibit A, go down a few whereases. These outreach efforts have alleviated the portion of the local emergency related to significant homeless encampments, but have not resolved the portion of the local emergency related to the continuing emergency of unsheltered homeless individuals and families. Please.
Ron?
You're about to vote
Ron?
on something.
Me again. Okay, so on the item, it said there were two primary reasons. The emergency allows Turlock Gospel Mission to operate additional bed spaces, bringing their total capacity from 49 beds to 80 beds. And it also allows the city to access non-city resources such as emergency cots and bedding from the county that can be made available for overflow sheltering. So a question I have is, well, if you end the local emergency, does that mean we have to return the bedding and the cots and so on and so forth back to the county? During the summer, TGM was reporting 30 to 35 beds available, which I believe means they were not using the overflow shelter as was allowed by the local emergency. The last report we got from TGM about 3 months ago was that they were getting people and families from Modesto and outside the county. We have also heard, well, I have also heard for the past several months, radio advertisements by TGM about their homeless services. Since this is a local emergency, shouldn't TGM and We Care be out among the homeless in Turlock, telling them of their services, such as the storing of their personal possessions, their kennel, and available beds? So I have the question, are they doing this? If not, then why not? And why are they instead apparently going outside of Turlock for clients? The wording of the local emergency declaration speaks about kennels at both TGM and We Care. Does We Care have a kennel? I would like to know how many dogs are allowed at each kennel and how many dogs are there currently. And finally, the Homeless Ad Hoc Committee recommended that every homeless program have an independent evaluation done every 6 months to determine its effectiveness. It's been 2.5 years since this local emergency was declared. So I think it's long past time that an independent evaluation be done and the results presented to the council and to the public so that an informed decision about the if I can only read, it might be helpful. So an informed decision about the continuation of this can be done. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak regarding this item? Okay, we'll close the public comment. Chief, if you could address some of these things, if not all.
Gil, I didn't know what you meant by brining. I don't think that you had a question. If you did, I can get with you after you making the statements, I believe. Sure. Okay. And Ron, as far as the emergency cots, yes, the emergency, that would end that and we would lose that availability. So the biggest thing for the emergency, to me, I'm responsible for law enforcement and Turlock, and my staff is charged with going out and enforcing homelessness, really vagrancy, quality of life issues, what people have described earlier tonight that's really impacting their businesses. So for me, it's the biggest part of this homeless emergency that I need is the capacity and ability to enforce the ordinances that we have. And absent this emergency, we don't have that. I am going to work with the city attorney and we're going to look at if there's other avenues so that we can end the portions of the emergency that we don't need and maybe look at some other path. But as the chief, I have to be able to have the ability to enforce these quality of life issues. When people are sleeping in front of a business and impacting that, blocking sidewalks, et cetera, that's what I need from the homeless emergency. That's the portion of the homeless emergency that I care about.
Thank you. I guess, Mr. Petrolakis, regarding locals only, HUD monies, et cetera, do you want to speak to that?
Locals only, I don't.
The question was, shouldn't this be only serving locals in this emergency? Because it's a local emergency.
I don't really know how those two relate, at least from a legal perspective. I mean, it's like, that's a very difficult issue based on the constitutional law. I don't know how you enforce that. I mean, a lot of what was commented on, the city doesn't have a particular role in, so.
Okay, and then some of these other are regarding how many, the kennels, how many dogs.
I can address that.
You know?
I can address that at least for TGM, but the target's moving when you talk about, excuse me, the numbers in terms of homeless and capacity. I did follow up with TGM today and got some additional numbers, but they have 8 dog kennels available, and the usage goes up and down. So as of around the holidays, they had one dog that was being utilized, or one dog that was utilizing the kennels at the shelter. In terms of capacity, I'm told that they hover around 65 to 70, depending on the weather, when there's inclement weather. So ending the emergency would mean that above their 49 capacity, potentially at any given time, 21 people could be displaced from the shelter services. Again, I'm not advocating to the council either way. I just need the capacity and ability to be able to enforce the ordinances that we have on the books so that we keep quality of life here in Turlock.
Thank you. You have something? Comment?
Just a comment, because there's been a lot said about homelessness lately. It is a nationwide problem. For those of you that don't know, the United States Supreme Court granted writ of certiorari to hear the series of homeless cases. They're going to hear oral arguments in April of this year, and they've promised a ruling and a decision to the entire country by June of this year. And we're counting on that, and we're expecting it to be a game changer.
All right, bringing it back. What is the will of council?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Abram?
Yes.
Councilmember Vixel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Franco?
Yes.
Councilmember Moniz?
Yes.
Mayor Bublak?
Yes, passed with a 5-0. Thank you. There are no final readings. There are no public hearings. Action item 8A. And who's handling this one? Mr. Lohr. Actually, Mr. Wilson. Mr. Lohr, Mr. Wilson.
I was going to have Mr. Lohr do this. He's done most of the staff work on this tonight. I'll be glad here to back him up if he needs some help.
No problem.
Okay.
Director Lohr, it's your turn.
Yeah. Good evening. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, and the public. Action item 8A tonight is a request to authorize the city manager or his designee to end the Navigation Center pilot program effective January 31st, 2024. You may recall that on December 12th, 2023, the City Council approved a 2-month contract extension with We Care through the end of this month to get through the holidays and to allow staff time to evaluate the program. During this time, city staff met with We Care and United Samaritans Foundation staff, service providers, and local downtown businesses to discuss this topic. The reasons for the requested action before you tonight are based on safety and security concerns, cost, and program effectiveness as outlined in the staff report tonight. In terms of safety and security concerns, as noted on December 12, 2023, a request was made by United Samaritans Foundation that would only extend the lease of the building to We Care if fencing was installed along both frontages of the property. The reason provided for the request was that there were ongoing illegal activity at the property in the evening, including overnight camping, illegal drug use, prostitution, and physical altercations. It is estimated that the fence will cost approximately $40,000, which we received from a quote. The housing department received a quote on that. In addition, many downtown business owners reported ongoing safety and security issues during the day, despite the Navigation Center being open. These issues include theft, illegal drug use, trespassing, intimidation of customers and business staff, and physical altercations. Next, in terms of cost, the initial cost of the program for 6 months with the 2-month extension was $178,220. The city received a cost proposal from We Care to continue to manage the Navigation Center pilot program for 12 months with expanded hours, which included additional 3 hours per day, at a cost of $425,000, $425,302. As previously mentioned, the city would also have to pay an additional estimated $40,000 to have fencing installed on the property for a total estimated cost of $465,302 for 12 months. Finally, despite the reported services being provided and the reported unduplicated visitor count by We Care at the Navigation Center daily, there are concerns over the program's effectiveness. It was noted by We Care that most of the visitors do not stay for long periods of time at the Navigation Center and filter back into the community during the daytime. I will specifically mention that We Care doesn't track specifically how long people are staying in the Navigation Center. I know that's been a question that was raised. This is concerning because many of the downtown owners reported that they did not see a significant decrease in the number of homeless individuals and issues during the day while the Navigation Center was open. When considering the ongoing safety and security concerns and public comment at recent city council meetings, there are overall concerns about the effectiveness of the program. So that pretty much concludes a summary of the staff report, and I'm happy to take any questions or comments.
Questions for Director Laura? No? Yes.
Yes. At the outset of starting this program 8 months ago, did the city communicate what our metric of success was going to be for the program? Mr. Wilson, Mr. Lohr, anyone who was involved?
To my knowledge, I reviewed the staff report that was done, I believe, back in April of 2023, as well as the agreement with We Care on this topic, and I did not see any metrics that were related to this program. I don't know, Mr. Wilson, if you have any.
No, we didn't. We included in the contract a set of metrics. We took a look at what the day population was moving around the streets and assumed it'd be somewhere between 40 and 50 people a day using the facility.
Other questions? Anybody? Councilmember Bixel.
Well, I don't know if it's questions or,
No comments. Oh, dang. No question, really, come on.
Let's hear it.
Okay, let's open it to the public. I do have some blue cards. Mr. Freitas? And we'll put them at the back of it here. Ms. Dew?
Kathy Dew. Good evening, Council, and thank you, and City Manager, and Mr. Petrolakis. Thank you very much for your presentation. I come here today in support of the Navigation Center. I have had lots of experience serving food and meals to the homelessness out of the Navigation Center for over the past year, maybe even 2 years. There is a deep need for this Navigation Center to continue to be open. I am also very involved in Turlock Gospel Mission. Their Navigation Center was also closed. There is no place for them, for the homeless and the unhoused population to go during the day. They can't really sit outside, it's a little too cold. There is a great need for the services to continue to be provided to the unhoused population. Let me speak directly about the We Care Center's kitchen. Our group, I represent a group within the Turlock Democratic Club that regularly feeds at the Navigation Center every month. I personally am involved in that. I want you to know that they are very grateful for what we do for them, and I know that there are other groups that also provide services. But the Navigation Center is only used because we don't have a kitchen at the We Care Center. The We Care Center's kitchen has been under construction, and we have asked before for status on when it's going to be finished. It was demolished to the ground. They have been under construction for over a year now. We were promised completion by, I think, sometime in the fall, and then at the end of November, and it is still not finished, and it is the end of January. Until we get a working kitchen where there is some place where food can be served and people can sit inside and be fed, there is a deep need for that location to be the navigation center for now. We bring the food. There is inadequate kitchen facilities at the navigation center. We bring the food there, ready to serve, ready to deliver services. But this is all beside the point. What we really need is we need to provide these services to the city, to the city's unhoused population. I see the staff's recommendations based a lot on cost benefit, but I think there is more to consider here, not just a cost benefit to the unhoused population. I think we need to reconsider closing this shelter. Thank you.
Julie Escobar? Thank you for waiting.
Good evening, everyone. I wanted to speak. I have maybe a different view of the homeless than many of you. I haven't had a driver's license in about 20 years due to my health. So I walk the streets of Turlock, and I talk to people who are unhomed all the time, and I've never been afraid, not once, okay? Things like public masturbation are a problem. I hear, tell that most people who masturbate do it at home. I wouldn't know, but people have to have homes. This week it was so freezing cold to go from a vehicle to your home. Imagine if you didn't get out of a vehicle and you weren't even going to a home. It is beyond comprehension that we would let people live on the streets. Thank you.
Sherry Tepley?
I'm Cheryl Tepley. I've been out here in the streets for 23 years. And the navigation center, since I've been there, has helped me. And if they close down, I ain't gonna get on Social Security where I can give me a place. It took me a long time to get a birth certificate, and they did that for me. I didn't have to go to Modesto. And that makes a saving on me. And the comments about some of the, you'll find out my original homeless, are not the ones that's out here doing this. It's the ones that's from different towns that are coming in and messing it up for us. Because I've been out here 23 years, like I said, they made me the president of the homeless. And if anybody knows me, some of the counselors know me. I love everybody in the street, and I try to help everybody. So if we have any problems with the homeless, please come to me, because I can talk to them. Because I don't like to see my original homeless, which are all signed on this piece of paper. I got them all, and that's got quite a few signatures right here for this. And these are all my original homeless. There's a difference between original homeless and the ones that came from out of town. The ones that come from out of town, they're destroying what I built. You know what I'm saying? It took me 23 years to get everybody's respect, and I worked hard. They call me Mama Sherelle on the streets, and I feel my job very well. Thank you.
Julie Fox?
Years ago, Turlock was a small town. In the 70s, we had about 14,000 people. We are now at almost 71,000. What that means is what life used to be like here is not the way it is. Numbers have changed. That means there are going to have more crime. You're going to have more people with mental health issues. 1 in 3 Americans have mental health issues. If everybody liked to count out, we could see how many that would be. These are the people that need the shelter and need a year-long old-fashioned mental health facility, as Care Court tries to do, but there are no place to put them. So Care Court has been postponed. Another fallacy, the shelter and the navigation center do not attract homeless. No one has come to me in 20 years who is homeless and said, I thought I'd like to go to Turlock because I hear it's really nice there. No, it's a fallacy. A fallacy. 25 years on the streets, please believe me. Shelters also cannot solve homelessness. It's a shelter. It provides a bed. It provides a bathroom. It provides food and a place to get clean. That's what it provides. If that isn't a positive thing, I don't understand. Additionally, while the criminal element does hide in the homeless population, and it's true, some homeless folks take a criminal lifestyle, We Care sends TPD a list every evening of every gentleman in the facility. Every evening. If there is a stalker, a rapist, a mass murderer, I think TPD would catch that. And I agree that it is extremely unfortunate that the shelter is downtown. But when we came here, when the shelter opened, Turlock was not revitalized. It was a place that looked attractive. That has changed. We need to change. Closing the navigation center, what does it mean for the people of Turlock? More excrement on the street, more public urination, more homeless on the street. And if that's the direction we want to go, close it. I await your decision.
One more time for Jason Fraser. Jason? Okay, nobody else has filled out a card? Yes, please.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Corey Mai, and I am the case manager at the We Care Navigation Center. I'd like to break down into more detail the services that we have provided. Outside of the 7 individuals housed by We Care since June, we have had 4 individuals gain housing on their own. We helped them with utilities and a refrigerator. We were also able to reunite 4 individuals with family that they had out of state and help them find organizations that covered the cost of their transportation to reunite them with those family members. We have also helped 11 individuals start at different area drug treatment facilities. I offered case management to 148 unduplicated individuals, which included scheduling medical appointments and transportation to those appointments. Many of them didn't even know that Medi-Cal offers free transportation to their appointments, so they just weren't getting medical treatment. I have helped connecting them with DRAIL for Social Security income and setting up clients with a payee so they could receive that income. We handed out over 50 vouchers for free ID cards. We helped several individuals get birth certificates and provided them with vouchers that made them free. I had several clients obtain social security cards and also gain employment. We had 4 clients that we have had with severe mental health. We were able to get those 4 individuals treatment. We worked very closely with the county's CARE program, which does a lot of outreach in our community. I have provided a safe place to talk about their struggles. I have laughed with them and I have cried with them. These individuals are not just the homeless. They are mothers, fathers, somebody's babies. They are our elderly, unable to survive on just their Social Security income. They are also our veterans. These individuals have no idea about the resources available to them or how to use them. I, day in and day out, have helped them navigate to those resources. It is so easy for everybody in our community to complain, but I challenge all of you to be a part of the change. Thank you for your time.
Anybody else?
Yeah, hi, Mayor, Council. J.G. Madruga, John Madruga. I'm a business owner on Main Street, right across from the post office, Sungate Realty. And 7-8 months ago, I was approached to help run the navigation center. So I've been there trying to figure it out, what we needed to do. I think maybe we've concentrated a lot on helping the individuals versus trying to bring them in and keep them in the shelter away from the outside. But what clearly has been happening, and it was mentioned that we haven't been keeping track of how long people stay. We could try it. All that takes time and energy, but maybe we could try to see how, the difference. But I have no doubt they're staying longer. What happens when we first started, they didn't know us. They didn't feel safe. They were coming and going, and they'd come in, use the restroom, and run. Now they hang out. They're more. And the numbers that you do see, the numbers are growing. Give us more time. With more time, we will have bigger numbers staying there. And again, our big goal is to get them into houses, get them into permanent houses. One thing that's not in our numbers at all is we've had 4 individuals that weren't able to stay at the shelter because of conflict that they had with staff. Because we know them and we spend time with them in the daytime, we coached them, we worked with the staff from the shelter, and now at night, those individuals can stay at the shelter. One of my goals is to help these individuals stay at the shelter. Goals that we have, Leon is here. He has recovery landscaping service. We're setting up insurance and stuff so that we can find jobs for them. And then before I run out of time, I really got to address the nice lady that came up and was talking about the gentleman that was inappropriate outside of her business. Corey, who just spoke here a little while ago, we had a gentleman who was being weird in our facility, and it was getting a little crazy. I asked her, do you want me to expel him? Her words were, I'd rather him be in here where we can watch than out there causing harm. We are trying to do everything that we can, and man, I wish I didn't have that clock staring at me. Give us more time, please. Give us more time. And communicate to us. What do you guys want from us? What do you want to see us do? Because we'll try. We'll work. Thank you.
Anyone else?
My name is Andrew Conte. We are new, almost 7 years now, in Turlock. I would like to appeal to all of you for a minute to look at the issue from another angle, and that is the human rights angle. You have not had you look at it from that point of view, in the sense that all human beings have human rights. Quoting Mrs. Eleanor Roosevelt, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So, as you talk about homeless people, look at them from the point of view of fundamental human rights. The United States is known as the lead country. No wonder you talked about the Supreme Court coming, and the decision that the Supreme Court will be making is going to be a little bit surprising for many of us here. It's not going to be palatable to all of us here. It's going to be a shame to many. For a long time, United States has been a major proponent of human rights, but we are seeing a withdrawal from those rights that you hold dear to. So please, as you continue these discussions, don't focus a lot on the monetary aspects, look at the homeless as human beings. They are entitled to fundamental human rights. If you take that into consideration, it's going to be easier for you to come to workable conclusions, etc. Currently, we all ought to be ashamed of the fact that the United States of America is not doing well in the area of human rights. Thank you.
Anyone else? Bob.
Your Honor, Counsel, my name is Leon Seegers. I'm fifth generation Turlock. Came into the recovery program, the recovery community 4 years ago. I managed to get 4 DUIs in 6 weeks, and the judge here in town was going to put me away for as long as he could. And it changed my ways. It gave me an opportunity to change. I've been involved with Westside Ministries, Teen Challenge, the Navigation Center, a lot of different places. And if I can help in any way, I would like to be in the mix. Just simply because I've seen miracles and I've seen tragedies, and it's like equal opportunity. You either choose this road or you choose the other road. I know a lot of people in town. I know a lot of people that have created programs. The Prop 39, the drug rehab thing, is a friend of mine. She actually retired 2 years ago, and she was encouraging me to become one of the counselors in a treatment center or whatever. But yes, the recovery community is a healthy and vibrant place. The reason that JJ and I have been working together is because I'm a hard worker. I'm out there doing the thing on yard work, and anybody can do yard work. You do yard work. So it was like, well, you got anybody available? And he said, well, we have to get them covered by insurance first, and so on. But for me, it's like, I don't care one way or the other. I just want them to be productive. I want them to be, self-respect. I work with the Westside kids, Westside Ministries, and that kid wearing $10, he walks a little taller, He goes and buys himself a pair of shoes or a bicycle or something. And I like seeing that. That's just in a miraculous way. I grew up on the turkey ranches east of Turlock, and we drank a lot. And I had to quit. But I had to reach the end of myself before I could stop. So thank God for recovery. Don't shut it down. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening, panel. I'm kind of a testament here with the We Care program. I'm kind of one of Turlock's first troubled kids. We Care's been there for me. Right now, I had 12 years clean. I fell down. We Care was there. The navigation was right there to keep me safe from the elements of what would take me away for life, because I'm one of the ones that don't really get a second chance. I've rode the big boy card. Anyways, so basically what I'm trying to say is, they were there, they got me into a program, and a lot of it was my dealings with my mental illness, my grief, my anger management, stuff like that. So I've been homeless in this town for a while too. But I was able to pull it together. The last time it was with parole, this time it was with We Care in the Navigation Center that got me up off the streets, and I was able to do it myself. I suffer from a lot of perfectionist mental illness, So basically what I was saying is that's my assistant right now, sponsor right now. I have 2 of them. I'm chasing him around the other day. Corey here's running her butt up, and we had almost 4 people getting ready to go to an AA meeting, some severely with mental illness and stuff like that are trying to get there, but there's no transportation. I couldn't get a hold of Liz. Liz is one of the ladies that has a van and will get dearly cared. Corey hit it right on the head. This is our sons, our dads, our grandpas. They're human beings. It's somebody's son, somebody's daughter, and you can't put a price on life. You really can't. I learned a lot of my consequences from other areas, but there's resources out there. I got CC3s that are out here right now that deal with grief, mental illness, and stuff like that. And they just dropped out of Nirvana to come and start their own thing around Turlock, because this is where they're from. They're from this place right here. They come back to Turlock. These are their people. You know, and I believe that the navigation center is a key place, because there's going to be enough room there in order for some of this stuff to be done. You know, like Corey said, you can't really put a price on human life. With that, thank you.
Bill?
I've been over to the Navigation Center twice now in the last 2 weeks, and both times there were 25 to 30 people in the building. My understanding is, why don't some of you come over there and see what's going on and not just sit here in your chairs and complain about what's going on? And that includes you, Mayor. There were peaceful people there. They were minding their own business. It was really pleasant to be there. It was just, they were watching TV, they were visiting with each other, they were checking on the services. You've heard all about the services at the Navigation Center. And if they wanted to sleep, there was a part in the building where they could just lay down and sleep on the carpet. They can go outside, and outside is really nice. They're set up with tables and benches. They can read there. They have books there. They have a clothing closet there. They visit with people. They can sit out in the outside and use their cell phones. They can also smoke tobacco products out there. There's room there at the Navigation Center for them to store their stuff. They have a place that they have their own personal things. There's a place there for their bicycles. There's a place there for their any belongings they have. And it's just working out wonderfully. And now, as JJ pointed out, they were very skittish about this in the beginning, because anytime, I don't care where you go, you're going to see that, you know, you're not comfortable in the beginning. They're comfortable now. They're sitting there, they're enjoying it. There was no outlandish anything. The time, and I spent, that was 2 hours in, 1 hour each time. You don't know what's going on out there. You've never been out there. You haven't been out there. You have not been out there, Mr. Wilson.
Yes, I have.
For 10 minutes or 15? Have you done it in the last month or two?
Finish your conversation?
Okay. I did have these handouts. Did you get these out, Julie? Okay, the handouts talk about mental people's issues with their brain issues. There are so many things that get people in here. We have something here that's very good. We have something here that's working and will work and will continue to work. All we need is to leave it like it is. It is not Turlock citizens' tax money that's paying for this. These are grants. These are coming from grants that are available for any city. We can get these grants with our grant writer, and we can do this. We can be the best in the best.
Yeah, for this topic, honestly, this is easier said than done approach, because honestly, there are homeless people that do really need the help and services, especially with Social Security, getting jobs, getting Medi-Cal, and everything. But the bigger picture that I've been telling you from the beginning...
Can you, just for a second, Mel, can you take that conversation outside so we can hear? Thank you, go ahead.
But the bigger picture that we did not, the bigger puzzle is that if we were decided to shut down the Navigation Center, then we need to tell Sacramento and Washington to provide a realistic solution that has been worked in Houston, Texas, in Fresno, California, and also in Helsinki, Finland, of having a housing first approach with services, something, having a navigation center integrated into housing for the homeless, so that they will get the support that they need, getting the services that they need, education, counseling, healthcare, mental health, anything. so that the homeless people will realize that they have a second chance in life, and they'll become full members of society and becoming integrated with society. Because just to decide to do it all, we're going to go back again, and then you're going to have people outside freezing, or I don't know. But this is a real complex issue. This is not a Turlock thing. This is not a California thing. It's happening in the United States. We live in a precarious economy. Housing cost is too high. We don't have adequate healthcare system, including mental health, and homelessness will not be solved by a magic wand. It's going to be there forever unless we have solutions to alleviate and reduce homelessness. So I'm asking you all to reconsider this decision, and also start asking Sacramento and Washington to push for a realistic solution, because it's not just Turlock. It's happening in other municipalities all over California, and we can do it. We can have our own ways to provide services, and also at the same time asking Sacramento and Washington to have a real mental health system, so the people who are suffering from mental health illnesses or substance abuse, they need to get that help right away, because we have nothing. And if we start to crumple down, then people are not going to get services. You're going to have people upset, and we're going back to square one. But action needs to be taken right now, and you have to reconsider this decision. Thank you.
Good evening. I wasn't planning on speaking, but I've been inspired by a lot of speeches here today. The first thing that caught me was when the clergyman said that we should welcome the stranger. That's a biblical notion. I'm a woman of faith. I believe that. He also said that we should protect the children. So when the stranger is the threat to the child, who should we prioritize? I believe it's the child. I'm the former manager at Majesty Bible Bookstore. I'm compassionate. Turlock is compassionate. But not all the homeless community want compassion. They want to live the way they want to live. And it's affecting the citizens that live here, that have grown up here. Generations that have poured into this town. I believe that the trouble in the community, in the homeless community, are people that are not from here, and it must be addressed. As citizens, the federal government, their job is to protect us. Local government's job is to protect us. I, at Majesty Bible Bookstore, had to clean excrement from the door. I also prayed with many of the homeless community. I've embraced them. I believe in the humanity of them. I hear success stories, and we should celebrate that. We really should. I'm inspired by that. But those that are being aggressive to merchants, those that are being inappropriate in public, my daughter works there. And that upsets me. She's an adult, but if my child was younger, I'd probably even be more upset. So we're not asking, we want to help the people that want help. Absolutely. And I hope that they get that help and that help stays sustained. We are asking for help against the ones that are being detrimental to this town and to the citizens. Thank you.
Anyone else? Ron? Ron? Then you.
Me again.
Okay, probably gonna change what I'm gonna say. Number one, let me give you a personal experience that the police chief and I had outside City Hall here when we talked to Jonathan, who used to work with my nephew Joshua in Modesto, the downtown streets team, things like that. He used to help homeless people get housing. Now he's homeless himself here in Turlock. He told us that Turlock was much better than Modesto, and that was why he was here. Okay? It's my understanding, I may be wrong in this, that the building where the Day Center, Navigation Center is, before that was opened in June? Yes. That it was also being used for the dining hall, an intake place for We Care, because their dining hall was torn down last July, no, the July before last. So one of my questions is if USF could do that then, why can't they continue to do that now? I will repeat what I said 8 months ago when you first talked about this, that if you're going to do this, it should be done 7 days a week. Because the homeless just don't magically disappear on weekends, okay? And it's not fair to the business owners, it's not fair to the homeless to say, well, we'll give you a place to be during the week, but during the weekends, you need to disappear. In terms of the metrics of why this was proposed, my remembrance is that the whole justification for it was that it was going to keep people from being downtown. They would be at the day center. I think it takes an awful lot of gall on the part of USF to request the city pay for a fence to protect their building from their clients, while downtown businesses suffer the same degradations to their property. Takes a huge amount of gall. And I also wonder, there's a lot of the things that were mentioned, some of them were happening before the day center was opened up. And I guess I would ask, I would also say that when the new dining hall is completed, some of the functions could be done there. And I'm wondering, does this mean if you don't do the navigation center, is the navigator here fired? Is she gone? Or could that continue
Thank you.
elsewhere? Thank you.
Gil? Gil, and then you. And then you.
Council, again. All right, I just want to remind everybody, you just passed a resolution. I highlighted some of the points in the resolution. I hope that they're really in your mind. I hope you didn't walk through that door with your mind already made up on what you're going to do to this event right here. I'm going to include one more thing that I think I read, but I'm going to just reiterate here. In addition to offering emergency shelter to unsheltered individuals with an array of social services and to attempt to reconnect homeless individuals with their families. Okay, that sounds like a pretty good priority. Have we ever defined the different groups out there? No. I talked about that 7, 8 years ago. When are we going to identify the different groups? We have the homeless people, we have the mental issues, and we have the criminal issues. They have not been isolated. This needs to be done. People out here need help. Okay. People out here are imploring you to do the right thing. Okay? That is should not be an exception. That should be a norm. This is Turlock. We're supposed to be doing the right thing. If you really don't know what the metrics are, or you didn't specify metrics, didn't you just get 7 people off the street? To me, that sounds like a metric. Mayor, did not a few years ago, did you not say, if we can help one person, we are succeeding? 7 people is success. That's a metric to count, okay? So we can go on and on with all the different little deals, but these are the basic deals. We are succeeding. If the program is not working exactly the way it is, don't throw it out. Tweak it. Fix it. Make it work. Thank you.
That was very well said. My name's Aaron Sagoon, born and raised in Turlock, been here all my life, went to Turlock High School, graduated from Granite State. And this is the first time I've ever been to the city council meeting.
Welcome.
And,
Welcome.
thank you. And I've seen the change. We all have seen the change. The amount of homeless people. I get off the freeway. I want to help. I want to give them money. My daughter has seen me. We give them food. But it's nothing in comparison to what JJ Corey has been doing for them. I donate my clothes and time to help JJ and them. And I think that they're doing a great job. They're doing the right thing. And if you think if you were homeless and you had nowhere to go, none of your friends, none of your family to go to, if I was in that boat, I would want to go there, because that's where I would get back on my feet. And I hope that they're able to continue. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mayor.
Yes, my name is Gregory Taylor. Put a petition in, right? Closing down this place is not logic. It's really not. Why would you close it? What would be your purpose? This place didn't help me get off the street for 8 hours a day. Why would you close it? Sorry for the luck to those who got their people up.
Sir, can you speak to us?
The
so we can,
person
thank you.
who was zagging off whatever he did, I'm sorry for that. But everybody don't have the mental thoughts like that. Everybody don't have mental issues like that. You got the Navigation Center, they helped me. And I appreciate everyone, JJ, Corey, Bobby, Michelle. They've been there for me. And you guys ain't never experienced homeless. I never until 2 months ago. 2 months, I've been in homeless, 2 months. But if you close this place down, you ain't causing nothing but a havoc for yourselves. People gonna be all in front of your businesses doing the same thing they've been doing, but all day. All day. It makes no sense. That's all I got.
Anybody else?
Good evening, council. My name is Joshua Nixon. Spoke earlier. Yeah, this town is gaining momentum. The homeless here are, man, it's my family. I've actually been homeless many years due to, my own, bad choices and such. But man, the resources here that I've experienced, Mr. Wilson and Mayor, it's incredible. There's really, and sometimes that's what it takes, like a fresh voice, right? Many of you, in fact, most people here have probably lived here all their lives. I've only been here not even 9 months. And I am a man of faith, come in agreement with my sister as well. And I believe that God is doing mighty things here. He's rebuilding here. And, one thing that I was pondering, I was thinking about, when it comes to the homeless is, man, the homeless, they're really desperate for God, is what it is. When I look at behind you, it says, "In God we trust." The homeless here are so desperate for God, and I'm speaking that right now, on this entire town. The addiction and the whole comment about the individual, I apologize about that. But for me myself, I love this town. I really do. It's grown on me mightily, and with the help of We Care Navigation, I've been able to get on my feet. Just moving, again, just momentum, and I believe that it's that's going to happen for the rest of the community here. The homeless are so. I just came from San Francisco, and that's a whole entirely different beast. Let me tell you that. I mean, I'm sure you're very aware of that. And so, yeah, you know, there's so much love here and faith, and I believe, yeah, you know, as the leaders here, you know, we should stick with that. You know, trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding, acknowledge Him, and He will direct the path for this town. So, thank you very much for your time.
I have heard so much tonight. My mind's just reeling. I have never heard so much information about the Navigation Center, and that truly impresses me. I had no idea how well it was working, and what this young lady said. It's just wow. So I've learned a lot about both sides. I do have a question. I'd like to know how many staff are with the Navigation Center and what is the staffing structure?
Okay, we'll get to the quick answers after. Thanks.
Thank
Do
you.
you have anything else? No? Thank you, Terry. Anybody else?
Good evening. My name is Juan Perez, and I'm the clinical director with La Familia. And the Navigation Center, it's a pilot project, and we have done some work with the We Care program before, providing therapists and case managers. And so with the Navigation Center, you have staff there who are very compassionate, and they try to do their best to help the people that they're serving. But the reality is that they're working with people who have a lot of different challenges, severe medical issues, mental health issues, substance abuse issues, and there is only so much that they can do. And so we, as an organization, we serve the community, we serve different school districts. We saw a need there. And because of that, we reached out to Maris and we said, we want to partner up with you. We want to give you the resources and support that we can. And so what we did at the beginning of this pilot project is that we assigned a therapist and a case manager. It's difficult to sustain a therapist, a full-time therapist, and a case manager there when you receive little to no funding. But we were fortunate to be able to keep a case manager, and he continues to be there. And with us, we do collect data. We have an electronic health record. And so I want to share a little bit of the data from June 2023 to December 31st of 2023 of some of the work that we've been able to do in partnership with the Navigation Center. We've been able to serve 64 unduplicated clients. 36 of them were Caucasian, 21 Hispanic, and 7 African American. We were able to provide, as far as individual counseling sessions, 74 appointments. We were able to provide 89 appointments with case management services. We've also been facilitating support groups throughout the day. We provide wellness groups. We provide groups on communication, on boundaries, on substance abuse issues. Whatever the need is, we will tailor a support group during the day. My regional director always says that the challenging thing is engagement. And what I can tell you is with the staff that we've been able to engage them. Why? Because they keep coming back for the services. So we've been able to build rapport, trust, and we've been able to engage them. And some of our case management services that we provided, just to give you an idea, we've been able to help 219 people with food and clothing. We've been able to help 55 clients schedule and keep medical appointments. We've been able to help 39 people with employment assistance. Thank you for your time.
Mayor, council members, my name is Greg and I'm on the board at We Care, and I wanted to address some of the metrics that we've been talking about. 9 months ago or so, we were approached to put together for the city a program for a navigation center. Within 2 months, we had that up and running. The time frame we had was a one-shift program that had to close at 3:30 because of our kitchen situation, which was not effective for We Care at the location, but because we hadn't had our kitchen built, we had to do that and shut the program. Again, this was a pilot program, and it was a 7.5-hour program. When you look at the cost that you presented, which is correct, for a 12-month program compared to the 6-month program, the cost is relatively about 35% higher on a per day basis. The hours are 40% more. When you look at the majority of the cost being the lease, the employment, and the security, which is almost all of it, it's proportional. The problem is because we have to, the 10.5 hours, we have to do 2 shifts. So it's not efficient. And granted, I'd love to do 7 days a week, 5 days right now, but 7 days would take even more. But I think from a cost-effective standpoint, it's very cost-effective. It was interesting last week that I saw where Sacramento was proposing to renovate a hotel for $76 million to house 134 families. That works out about almost $600,000 a family. Well, that's 20% more than the funding for this for a whole year. So, and as they were said, all the things that were said before are true. As far as the people that are being helped, the one thing she didn't mention is there were 2 people that because they were there, we were able to get emergency services and save their lives. They would have died if they'd been out in the streets. So what price can you put on a human being? And I think that's something we really need to consider. This navigation center provides a central point for this population to come and get services they need. And as Mr. Perez said, La Familia provides mental services. There's a lot more we could do. We just get started. And as JJ said, the numbers are going up. The word of mouth is getting out there. People are hearing about it. So I think it's a little too soon to pull the plug. Thank you for consideration.
I just want to say I know that there's been a lot of good done. I think the question here is it accomplishing what it was meant to do? I have a few points. I have seen, I get that the numbers are, that there's probably a lot attending. I've noticed in the past when the weather gets better, they come out again and hang out downtown. And as far as them, I have talked to homeless before. I try to get to know them. We know a lot of them by name, our regulars. I have had them tell me, people tell me in the past, we came to Turlock because we heard Turlock likes homeless, quote. So you can't say that they're not coming here because of that. That we see new faces every day. Every day. And I'm talking, we've been in business for 27 years. It used to be, you know, once in a while, every day there's new faces. So you can't tell me they're all from Turlock. We talk about rights. What about our business owners' rights to earn a living? We're still hearing customers don't feel safe. We're still seeing on social media, I won't go downtown. And is it going to take one of our businesses employees, something bad to happen to them? What happened to Ricky, that's happened 3 times in the last 10 days. That act has happened in the last, I don't know, it's the same person. They happen to be on the path, you know, to the services. I've got to believe that's a homeless person because I don't think some just random person is hanging out in a doorway smoking crack and doing that. But I do want to say that grant money is not free money. That grant money does come from taxpayers. And those are people that have businesses, have jobs, and pay taxes. So, thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I get when I get up here. but there's so much on my mind, so much destruction going on in our town that I just feel I have to speak up. I see what's happening to our country at the border, at everywhere, and I see what's happening the border around our town. Sorry.
You're all right.
But I have a friend who has a home near the Navigation Center. She took me around the other day. She said she sees drug dealings, she sees the cops over there all the time, the ambulances. I went back by myself and saw the cops have to stay out there in front in the morning to watch everybody. Then I saw a cop, or the mornings I've been there. And then later on another cop came, and I don't know if they get called or they just get told they have to be there. I don't know. Why, if it's such a wonderful place, do they need
That's not for you.
no. Fence? I was going, that was quick. Why do they need a fence if it's such a wonderful place? And the gentleman that said he just came from San Francisco 9 months ago. 9 months ago, they are sending their residents here. I know that, but 9 months ago, yeah, I'm sure he really likes it here because it's a different world in our town compared to San Francisco. So how many Navigation Center are from Turlock? How many have a history here? There's only so much that the police officers can do. I guess that's it. And I didn't take my 3 minutes, but I have a whole minute to go. I grew up in this town. I love it, and I hate to see it changed. And there's other help out there for people who need it. And hand out is different than hand up.
Anybody else? Sir, you've already spoken, I'm sorry. Mary, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm gonna have questions, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I completely disagree with the findings of this report. I want to put that out there. Behind you, it says, "In God We Trust." Ms. Biblack and I voted to put that on the wall. So I'm gonna ask you all to think about, what would Jesus do? I sat right there where Ms. Abrams sat in my very first meeting. And I want to make sure that everybody in this room knows that at my first meeting, we had a very lively argument and discussion about whether or not a person who stayed at We Care had to have an ID. And they did. And so I remember I said, I felt like I was on the Titanic because we were battling over things that you, obviously, the people that sat on the dais with me, knew that what was one of the issues is most homeless people don't have IDs. If someone is doing something illegal, which is what some of the people have said has happened downtown, and what the horrible thing that happened at one of the businesses with a very young woman, they need to be arrested. But I want to clarify a lot of misinformation. United Samaritans Foundation and We Care are two separate entities. It seems like people don't get that. You cannot control where people go. Okay? Modesto has the 5th largest homeless shelter on 9th and D in the state. And if you don't know that, look up on the United Way. There are not police officers, there are security guards. There is a difference. I sell Girl Scout cookies. We sold Girl Scout cookies last year. I've never seen more police officers responding as social workers. 4 times we saw police officers. We will not sell anymore at stores because my children are old enough now to know what is going on, and I don't want them to witness it either. But this is about the lack of mental health, the lack of affordable housing, and put those two together, it doesn't work. The Navigation Center is a 6-month pilot project. Give them a year. 7 people have homes. It is successful. It is working. Grant money goes to the entire state. So look at me. It goes either here or somebody else spends it. That's how it works. It doesn't go back into the coffers. We have waited forever not to get the CARES Court money. We should have had some housing. There are people homeless all over this community, and I'm not going to tell you where they are, because then you're going to go round them up like you did before the point and count, which is the count of homeless, which is tomorrow. Either we figure it out or it's going to get worse. I want to support our businesses downtown, and I feel sorry for them having to do the things that they do. But the Navigation Center is working, and you need to support it. No program is going to work in 6 months. This is a step in the right direction. This council needs to really think about, instead of wearing a freaking bracelet that says, "What would Jesus do?" Do what he would do. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, we're going to go ahead and close the public comment. There were questions that were asked. Are you ready?
Yes.
Before you start, let me just add, from a previous meeting, Chief, we had heard that there was IDs, that they don't ask for IDs. And then I heard tonight something about the police department gets information. Is that, you are verifying people's names and such?
They're not verifying ID to my knowledge, but we do get a report nightly that goes to our crime prevention sergeant.
And would you tell us what Raul's group does?
You're referring to the care team?
Correct.
They go out and do a lot of the navigation work. They've been a great partner of ours here in Turlock. They've opened up a Turlock office. They're doing a lot of the outreach work similar to what the day center is providing, but they're more of a field-based service. They're getting people IDs. They're taking them to appointments. They're getting them connected with services, doing case management. You'll see them, they wear green shirts. They go out into our parks, and they drive white vans. That's how to identify them.
Thank you. Real quick, Ms. Werner, do you have anything on the kitchen update? Do you know anything? Do you guys have a mic down there? Sorry.
So the dining hall is under construction, and as far as I know, we're probably maybe 30 to 60 days out from getting it completed. So
okay.
And whose responsibility was that?
As far as
who
the delay?
Who's responsible for the contractor? Who hired the contractor to build?
So as it wasn't here at that point in time, but I believe it did go out to bid. The contractor, our housing department, our housing specialist, is overseeing that project.
Okay.
So it is under construction. It is getting pretty close.
Thank you.
Director Lohr, did you get some of the other ones?
Yes. So the first question that I wrote, there were a lot of comments, but the first question that I wrote down was, what is the structure of the navigation center? I know that Maris runs the program overall. There's a board of directors. I believe John is on that, and Greg. I know that we've spoken in the past. And then down from Maris and the board of directors, Corey kind of runs the day-to-day affairs in there, and is it Michelle supports that? And that I've never seen an org chart for We Care, but that's my understanding of the structure.
Okay. Any other questions?
Is there anything else? Yeah. Okay, thank you. The next question I have is probably better suited for Chief Hedden, but it was, do the cops hang out front? And I think that was from our last speaker.
Oh.
No, the officers aren't instructed to hang out in front of the center. They may be doing extra patrols if they identify a problem or know that there's a problem there. It was reported to me personally that there were some concerns with drug sales, so I did emphasize to staff to do some extra patrols and look into that and make sure that that's not occurring, because we don't want that to overshadow the program.
And then the last question that I wrote down was, how many of the, as We Care puts it, visitors to the day center are from Turlock? And I don't have that information. I'm not sure if, yeah.
Actually don't track the information of where they're from, but we have like people that are released from prison and they're brought here to the shelter, and because they're brought to the shelter, they come and use our services. We do have people that come from out of town that are just passing through, and it comes from
Chief, did you have something?
Yeah, and I would just address that, we've heard that people are coming from out of town. They're a transient population. Most of the people that I've talked to have a connection to Turlock, and that's why they're here, whether it be a relative or some type of opportunity, and then oftentimes they get stuck traveling from town to town. So you will see a fluctuation in numbers from any point in time where people are transitory traveling across the state. There was a gentleman that I met downtown that was coming from Sacramento originally. What brought him here was an aunt that he had in the area. So he was visiting for the holidays, and he was catching the free bus services to Turlock and had plans to leave Turlock at some point. Just an example.
So that concludes the questions that I captured. Hopefully I didn't-
Can I add one more thing also? It's been said a couple times, so I feel it's important to address it. And it's somewhat flagrant to describe that the police department or anybody from the city is moving people prior to the point in time count. That doesn't serve anybody. My staff has stopped enforcement of any homeless related encampment moves prior to the point in time count because we want a reflective, accurate accounting of the homeless and what our problem is here locally. So I want to address that because it's been said several times, not just at this meeting, but others.
Questions or comments for Mr. Lohr? We've already closed the public comment. I understand that, Mary, but no, he's just answering the questions after we close the thing. Thank you for that. All right, are there any questions of our director?
I have a question for Chief Hedden and also for City Manager Wilson. I know I spoke to both of you about you had made trips to the day center and that there weren't as many people there as there had been reported. Can you both tell everyone what you discovered when you went there?
Yeah, I've been to the day center several times. I've dropped off homeless people on my own there to try to direct them to and get more people to use the services while we have them. At any given time that I've been there, there's been anywhere from 15 to 21 people using the services.
Mr. Wilson? Thank you.
I've been there at least one time, and there was nobody there at that time, but that's because we were having a meeting there. So maybe that's why they weren't there, but the fact was there was nobody in the facility at all.
And I will clarify, just in all fairness, as I'm showing up to the day center at one point in the day, we're talking like a 10 or 15 minute period, if that. So
I'd like to just ask a question related to the numbers issue because there's some verbiage in the staff report that makes it seem like there's maybe some discrepancy of that. But is it not true that we question? Is it not true that
it was a double negative?
Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
That's funny. Sorry.
Is it correct that the navigation center is taking data on every single unduplicated persons, like they said they would, and follow up to that? If we're concerned about it, have we audited those numbers?
That's a two-part question, right? The first response to that question is they are tracking information. They write down, there's a list. Corey actually showed me the list. And it lists the name of the individual. And if they leave, they have to, if I'm not mistaken, they have to write themselves out as well. They're not keeping track of the time like we talked about. I haven't audited the information. That's the second part of your question. So we're going off of what they provided in terms of that the number that they're counting off of that list that they're maintaining is an unduplicated number.
Well, I see it just a little bit differently because I think the numbers that we carriers were giving us were more than there were homeless people in city of Turlock, for example. What I think they were doing was they were counting every time a person came in, even though they might have been there 2 or 3 times, that person got counted 2 or 3 times as opposed to 1 time. And so, and that's the way it looked to
Please.
us.
Please be respectful. We let you speak.
So that's how we looked at the numbers, and we think that they were higher than they actually were.
With regard to tracking numbers, that was why my first question was, do we have, did we set a goal? Do we have a metric? I absolutely want us to be able to have metrics to track, but there is a difference between a point in time visit, a visit during lunch maybe, or a 15-minute visit versus counting people over 7.5 hours every single day. And we can quibble over the numbers, but 15 to 20 is not 0. I wanted more information on this, and I'd like to share it. I reached out to the Navigation Center, and they are entering all of their data into the HMIS system, the county system, and they saw 413 clients over. This report is June 7th to January 19th. So yes, that's more than our point in time count, but a point in time is not the same as an aggregate over a period of time. They're apples and oranges.
Other comments?
I have more comments. I will echo some of the things that people were saying, that closing this navigation center is moving us backward. There are real concerns that we got to hear about from our downtown business owners that are very valid and very concerning and very disturbing, and those need a targeted approach. Closing this center is moving us backwards because it said in I think the pivotal word in our staff report was ongoing criminal problems. The problems existed before the navigation center. People will not have, without having that place to go, without having those resources, they're going to go back into the community, to the parks, to the alleyways, to the business centers, to wherever they were before. The criminal activity will continue to happen wherever it was happening before. I always try to find consensus, and it's really hard to find consensus on any giant social issue. But some things I've heard from the public who have spoken here, from community members I've talked to even people on this dais, is that we want to help the people who want help, and we want to work on things that bring people out of homelessness. It is not a small task to go from having no program to 8 months later housing 7 people directly, and all of the other work that happened with the case manager. That I thank you for coming to tell us that. I see potential in the navigation center model. I think it could serve as the location that a lot of the well-meaning nonprofits and the church groups, I think this could serve as the central place and program where we can direct all of those services. We obviously can't ignore the safety and security concerns. We need to devote more resources to the problems that are happening downtown. I would recommend that this program continue, and that incorporate perhaps more of an outreach approach, so we can get more people who are staying there more often. With that outreach, we could have someone who is kind of serving as a liaison between the program itself and the needs of the business owners. So the business owners can have someone who can, they can contact to say, we're having a problem, can you please come and assist us? For what it's worth, there is funding to continue this. We have PLHA funds that were specifically were requested from the state for a program like this. And if I can pull up my notes here, there's 309,000 and change of that that is expiring, and we will no longer be able to use at the end of April. So this program could continue. We could figure out a way to make this work, and I really hope that the discussion that we are able to have tonight will lead us in that direction. But if if the recommendation is, and in the will of council is to close this program, that's not something that I can support. I can't support us moving backward.
Yes, sure.
I spent part of my day yesterday at We Care and got a tour of actually all of it. I'm embarrassed to say that I hadn't been there before, but I had an idea we might be talking about this tonight, so I thought I should get a first-hand visit. I will admit yesterday was the weather was pretty inclement, but I didn't count the number of people that were there when I for the probably 45 minutes, an hour that I was there, but there were a lot of people. If I were to guess, maybe 35. I think I agree with Ms. Abram that in a lot of ways we'd be moving back if we don't continue doing something. I am conflicted. I've got a young daughter that works downtown, and I am scared to death every night that she leaves to come home after dark, or at 4 o'clock in the afternoon for that matter. So I really empathize with the business owners. I would like to see more resources directed toward the police, be it a downtown patrol that's dedicated to a 6-block, 8-block area. If it be public, if it be private, I don't know. I think there's more that can be done to help the downtown business and not just downtown. It's our whole city. Having visited the navigation center that is going on down in Merced about a year ago, the successes that they are having, but it's taken a long time. I mean, it's a model program that I think it'd be great. You could pick it up and put it just anywhere. Somebody brought up the point that 20 years ago or 25 years ago when they started the shelter downtown, the town hadn't been revitalized, right? Well, that's not the shelter's fault, and things evolve. I'm going to have a hard time not saying that we shouldn't continue something, especially if we haven't exactly outlined what we expect for our money, or not our money, but the money that we're entrusted to take care of. Thank you.
Good. Go first? No. Okay. Services are still available even if this shelter, or excuse me, if this navigation center were to close. Services are still available in Turlock. It's still available at the county. They are still available.
Please.
I wanted this, and I voted for it twice. I wanted this to be somewhere that we could have a lot more people go to. I hoped it would be full to capacity. But when there's only 10 to 15 people there, and it's going to cost us approximately $450,000 for a year for 25 people, I think that the citizens of Turlock are going to have a problem with that. I understand the human aspect of it. Like I said before, I voted for it originally. But I also took an oath to take care of public funds. And $450,000 for 25 people is not a good use of public funds, in my opinion. I would be receptive in the future to a public-private sector compromise. Somebody can bring it together, a private sector, public sector. We would come in after the fact, but it's not the city of Turlock's responsibility to set up these facilities. This is a private sector responsibility, not a public sector responsibility. And outcomes have to be attainable. Otherwise, we're just throwing money at a problem and we're not getting any return on our investment. And I am responsible for the public's money, not the private sector's money. I'm responsible for public funds. And so at this point, without helping more than 25 people a day, I can't support this.
So many times I've sat up here and told the people that you pay taxes for a city to provide public safety, water, sewer, and roads. And probably going to make the county mad, but the county gets the money from the state and the federal, and they have to supply that information. They give all of the mental health and homeless stuff to the city of Modesto and maybe to cities around there. They're supposed to provide that. This isn't our obligation. Now, I understand these are our citizens sometimes or often, but there's got to be a better way to do this. Right now, Councilmember Abram is on the new Shaw, right? She's appointed to it. It would be my hope that Shaw would finally stop just having a meeting and reading out loud what they've sent you and start talking about no duplication. Let's have one umbrella and be able to provide services for the whole county where it makes more sense, and we're not wasting any of the taxpayers' monies. When you look at the fact that we have over 30 providers in 1 week, every week, for food, that's duplication. It's people want to do something nice, and people want to make money sometimes off of the opportunity of a nonprofit. It's our obligation to see where we can help most. Public safety, I heard it from two people. Public safety is our biggest priority. That's where we have to focus on. This money can't go to public safety, but we have to make sure that the businesses are safe down there, the people who are coming around, and then figure it out from there. So well, we'll figure it out. You guys will know what's going on. Did you have a comment? What is the will of council?
Motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second. We call the roll, please.
Councilmember Abram?
No.
Councilmember Bixel?
No.
Vice Mayor Franco?
Yes.
Councilmember Moniz?
Yes.
Mayor Bublak?
Yes. Passes. Thank you, Mr. Lohr. Item B is Director Sims.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, City staff, members of the public. The item before you tonight is asking Council to approve the appropriation of funds from American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, in the amount of $53,700 to fund the purchase of a city mobile app for the first 3 years. The city has a cooperative agreement with SHI Information Technology Solutions, and through this agreement, the city wishes to purchase the GoGov mobile app solution. The cost of the mobile app is $20,000 per year. City of Turlock Transit will be contributing $2,100 each year, leaving a shortfall of $17,900 each year to be covered by the city. Appropriating the $53,700 will provide us the remaining funding needed for the mobile app. After 3 years, the city will have identified alternative funding sources to cover the annual cost of the mobile app.
I'm sorry, can you just hold on a second? You guys, would you just take your conversation outside, please? Thank you.
Communicating with the public is a top priority for the city. A city mobile app solution will allow the opportunity to update the public on community events, city updates, send notifications to citizens that have downloaded the app. There are numerous other features that can allow citizens to track bus routes, pay fares, submit citizen requests, as well as many other features. If this item is approved, the city will be able to move forward with the app and can begin the onboarding process. With us tonight is Mr. Kevin Strauss from GoGov to provide a brief presentation of the GoGov mobile app.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me. And yeah, thank you for queuing that up. So some members of the council might be familiar. We actually did a brief discussion on this back in, I believe it was September. And we'd be really excited to bring this solution to the city of Turlock. We currently contract with over 100 cities in California alone on this app and platform. And what we would be doing is helping the city build a City of Turlock branded mobile app for residents to download, meaning y'all will get to name it whatever you'd like, and then that's what residents will come to know it as. So for example, we work with Stanislaus County, their app is called Stan Connect. We work with the city of Orange, for example, the app is called Orange 24/7. This is the city of Hercules, they call their app Hercules Connect. So we'll work with you to get a name that you'd like, get some graphics that you'd like. And basically, like, from the perspective of the resident, there's really kind of a few reasons why I might download the app. Number one being really useful city information right at my fingertips with all these different buttons that are seen here. And these buttons are essentially featuring either A, existing content from the website. So a lot of this is complementary to existing web content. Websites tend to have a lot of information on them because they're supposed to. I can come here and find, to the website and find out anything about the city. Whereas the app, we're kind of highlighting the things that we know people frequently want access to. So for example, in Stanislaus County's app, they have a quick tap button for the county newsfeed. This is simply shortcutting me to the page of the county site where the newsfeed is located, so I can quickly and easily catch up on what's going on, and then I'm back to the home screen. Over here in Ranchos Palos Verdes, they use a third-party vendor for a parking service. Shortcuts me right to the vendor portal where I could do my parking reservation. So any page of the city's current site or any web service the city happens to use can be easily featured here inside the app. There's also the ability to provide convenient features like click to dial directory of phone numbers for various city departments. Important to know who our elected officials are, highlighting of folks on the board, names, pictures, bios, contact information. Additionally, even physical places in the community, parks, walking trails, municipal facilities, businesses can be listed out, and then even seen, visually on a map where they are, pick one, get pictures, descriptions of services, hours, location. So just all things as to say, like, hey, if I live in the community and have this on my phone, it's going to be a really great starting point for a lot of the more common information that I might see from the city. Additionally, once I have the app, the city is going to be able to deliver real-time push alerts and updates for different things going on in the community. And it'll be ultimately up to the city to send whatever information they deem useful for residents. But what you're looking at on my screen are real customers, things sent in the last hour or two, council meetings that are coming up, wastewater plant operation updates, blood drives, trash pickup notices, agencies are hiring, more council meeting announcements. So a really easy way, road closures, weather alerts. Just if I have this on my phone, I'll be getting real-time push alert updates for various things going on in the community. And then it even also has a third kind of component, which is a service request function, which I believe that the transit is going to start with to spearhead that we might dovetail to various city departments later. But it allows me, without having to pick up the phone and call, to, for example, in transit, submit a ticket if I left something on a bus, for like a lost and found, or if I'm unsure of how to read the bus schedule, I could submit a ticket and get a response that way. And there's a whole corresponding staff software that would be available as well to track and manage the different service requests and questions that come in. So we're all together going to have like a really nice package. Again, I mentioned the number of cities in California on purpose, just as to say it's a very useful tool. If it wasn't, it wouldn't garner so many agencies adopting this and keeping it for so many years. Once it gets out there and gets into the ethos, it's a wonderful tool, as a resident to have in my pocket, and a really great way for the city to directly communicate with folks. Because as we all know, in 2024, a vast overwhelming majority of us are walking around with a smartphone. So it makes sense, from an agency perspective to, easily bridge the gap between, the local government and the folks that live in the community, targeting folks where, we all kind of have it most, which is the phone in the pocket. So with that said, I'd be happy to, answer any questions that any members of the council have.
Questions?
Yes, I have a question, Mr. Strauss. On the app, can users define what types of notifications that they want to get, or are they signed up for everything that we push out from all the different departments?
No, you do have the ability to create, the city can create what are called subscription groups, which is just your ability to define areas of content. These are just some random examples I've created here in my little demo app. And then as a resident, I'd be able to say, you know what, I don't want everything. I'm really only interested in traffic and weather, or I'm only interested in, events or whatever your categories happen to be. So you can certainly narrow down what you're receiving.
And Director Sims, can you go over the plan for what features, what buttons people will see what is our plan for rollout?
Well, if this is approved, we're going to start an onboarding process. I'm going to be working with Director Showalter and Kevin to figure out which buttons that we want to have enabled first, and then have breakout sessions with our departments too to see who's ready for this. Some features, some request features might have to roll out slowly, but we will get there. So we'll be able to start the onboarding process after tonight.
And last question for Director Showalter. You so very nicely highlighted at our last meeting that our website has a lot that is left to be desired. So is there any issue with how our website was designed or what we have on there now in terms of linking the app and the website? Do we need to wait for the website, basically?
No, not at this time. As Kevin had shared, it should work cohesively with our existing website. One of the perks of our existing website is has what's called responsive design, so the format or layout will adjust to a tablet or smartphone. So if we do link content within the app to the website, it should be a more cohesive experience. Even during his demonstration, I've looked really closely at the county's website, and that's the type of, we call it user experience they portray, where a lot of the services will redirect to their site, and more application-based services will stay in the app in terms of communications and maybe like map usage, things like that. So it should be pretty cohesive.
What is the timeline for rollout?
Kevin, what's the typical onboarding process to where citizens can actually download the app?
Typically, for what we're talking about here, between 4 and 6 weeks. It's a very light lift as far as, different types of software projects go. A very safe number to me is a 6 weeks period from, hey, here's the project kickoff call, to here's an app available in the store that everyone on the city side is comfortable with. That's, chock full of useful information for residents to start downloading from the store.
Chris?
Yes, question. We are going to include businesses on this app, correct? A link
Yes.
to,
Yeah.
is it a link to businesses?
How can we set that up, Kevin? I'm sure that we can customize it if we want to have a downtown district or other districts. I'd have to refer to Kevin how
And
they
how,
do it.
is it the business person that sets up
I
their
didn't hear the
own
question.
info?
I'm sorry. The audio is a little bit muffled. If you wouldn't mind repeating, be happy to answer.
Setting up the business lists within the app. What is that process?
Sure. Yeah, that's just so it's in the back end of our software. There's a place where we literally input the name, an address, a photo, hours, phone number. So you would just essentially provide any information that you'd want in there to our team during the onboarding process, and then we go ahead and get it set up. But moving forward, we will train the city on how to do that. A lot of these things are very easily controlled and managed in the back end of the software. We do unlimited support and training for the life of working together. So we're always here to help should someone need assistance. But these are the buttons in my app. I can change the order by dragging and dropping them. I can remove one by clicking the little trash can. I can add one by clicking add. So the actual management of this going forward, I always like to point out, you really want to be comfortable with the name of the app. And the app icon that goes on the app home screen, like those are these guys right here, because changing those just requires different levels of app store approval from the various app stores. But outside of that, the actual image on the home screen of the app, the buttons within, the content, not set in stone in any way. So there's no pressure to go on the first go round and say we're stuck with this forever if those are the buttons we pick. There's plenty of room to adjust and change as it's being used and you receive feedback. These things are kind of living and breathing, if you will, as time goes on and are easily adjusted as you move forward.
Kevin, do you have a list of all the different buttons that we could be sent so we could kind of start to look at it from our standpoint?
I don't, ma'am, and the only reason for that is, again, a majority of the buttons are going to be made up of city web pages.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would suggest is browsing the website for pages that you think are most useful for folks. I mean, we certainly have some suggestions. It's a calendar, some sort of online bill pay if you all offer it, maybe a page with the job, employment opportunities, an events feed, links to your social media. These are the more common buttons we see. But if you were to open all, the 100 different apps in California, you'll see the buttons are very much all over the place in terms of what they're called, because the majority of these buttons, again, are just simply pointing to existing web pages that folks have. So the websites are often very different and the content that they feature. So we don't have an all-encompassing listing of them per se. We can really do almost anything that you'd like to do. If that information's available on the web, we can help you make it available here via, with quick access for the resident.
Mr. Sims, are your intentions to have Mr. Spengler put out some request asking people their ideas about what we should call it?
Absolutely. We can put out some surveys. We were talking about that today, rolling out communication updates. We can do that. And then GoGov can actually help us launch it too, whenever we get to that point, to help roll it out and get people to download it.
So I heard Vice Mayor ask, but I don't think it got answered. So as far as putting a link on the app to certain local businesses, would that be the business owner's responsibility, or is that something that we would do as a city?
So Kevin, are you guys just putting a link to like Yelp or Google for businesses, or do businesses actually have to opt in to go on to the button?
No, so it's neither of those things. So like when I showed, for example, businesses is not one that everyone does, because it really depends on the city's relationship we found with like their chamber. Because again, it is like from a resident's perspective, very much like a government app in the sense of like the services y'all offer. But if you wanted to feature businesses, it's up to you as a staff to decide which of those you'd like to do. And that's just another area of the back end of the software. Again, we'll work with you on it, but essentially, like if I had a list of businesses, for example, like this could be called businesses, and then I'm just kind of filling out the information for each one. So it's ultimately up to the city staff that we're working with to set this up, you know, what places you would choose to feature or not feature, or if you're gonna do a business listing at all, or if you wanna just do a button that points to like a Yelp, you could certainly do something like that. So there's a lot of leeway within. These are usually details we would discuss during the implementation with you. We could kind of take a look at what each one would look like and, you know, figure out what option you would be most comfortable with.
Director Sims, is the cost of all this, is that for HR as well, somebody inputting and monitoring questions and who?
Like staff time?
Right, well, if somebody's putting a ticket as he refers to it, saying, hey, can you look at this, somebody has to monitor that, so is that cost included in this number?
No, that cost that you're referring to would be staff time. So if somebody does put in a request, it would go to like an email notification that we set it up. And you can set up an auto response too, or if you're not ready for that button to be enabled, it can just redirect them to our current website and whatever that notification is. But this costs $20,000 per year, doesn't account for our staff time. This is just another tool, another feature.
So let's talk about staff time for a second, because one of the things that I can see that half the city probably wants to know right now is, hey, is there going to be a button where we can give a notification that there's something wrong with a signal light? Either it's out, it's flashing red, or the light cycle's messed up or whatever, right? So if we're accepting that kind of input from the public, which I think we should, then it's generating an email to our staff member. Right now, we're getting phone calls or emails, or there's hold times. So are we really looking at an increase in staff time to address the people's issues?
I mean, if that button is enabled, then yeah, that's a potential possibility that you're going to get more notifications.
So we need an intern.
Well, can I jump in, Anthony, on that? And I didn't hear the whole thing. Was that if they're on the request function that residents will get more notifications?
Well, that city staff could get more notifications, so if we get more requests from citizens, staff could become overwhelmed.
If I may, so part of this system on the service request side is actually a staff-facing work tracking system that helps to streamline operations. One thing I always point out when I have these discussions with folks, we've yet to have a big fear people have is to roll that feature out and like get quadruple the number of service requests. It's actually quite the opposite. Really what you're doing for the first year, maybe two, is really shifting the traffic because you're getting all of those service requests currently, but you're not only having the staff work on them, but you're taking staff time to take the phone calls, email or post-it note what the phone call was, try to get it off to the correct department to work on. Then at that point, there's no paper trail potentially, so it's hard to say, like if a resident calls back wanting to know the status, now we're taking all this extra time to try to figure out what that was. So one of the reasons these systems exist as a whole, it puts a formalized process behind tracking and managing different resident service requests. So you could actually draw the conclusion that even if your volume went up just a bit, you're actually probably going to spend less staff time working on those due to the actual back-end software, where things like the staff changing the status of an item can automatically send a message back to the resident that reported it, giving them an update. When staff close items, it's going to automatically update the resident, let them know that it's fixed and explain why. So there's a number of features in here that are going to actually streamline the amount of time that it takes. And again, it's a very common concern that folks have when they first kind of look into this sort of project. But when the departments are ready for that feature to be rolled out for them, I think you're going to find that actually it's not that they get an increase in volume, but they'll actually have a shifting of less phone calls and actually have a more streamlined operation on the staff side.
Okay, any other questions? Yeah. Okay.
Any other cities, local, besides the county, obviously, that have this type of app feature? Does Modesto have it, Lodi, Merced, other communities around? Or are we cutting edge?
A lot of cities have mobile apps. I don't have the list of all the ones that GoGov serves, but a lot of local cities do have apps.
Any other questions? Okay, let's open it to the public. Ron?
To that question, it's like, yeah, in California alone, about 100 cities use this app with some of the features. Not hyperbole, like that. That's the actual count. So definitely a popular type of solution in San Joaquin County. We do the city. We do the actual county itself. We also do the city of Lathrop, the city of Manteca, the city of Stockton, the city of Tracy, and the Mountain House Community Services District.
Thank you. Okay.
Me again. Yeah, it sounds like this could have a lot of great features. A couple of thoughts that came to my mind, perhaps misunderstandings on my part. On the main menu, you were talking about selecting what would be on there, okay?
Sure.
Is it possible for the user to configure it? Because each of us would maybe have different.
He's shaking his head no, sorry.
You know.
Yeah. He didn't hear his head struck.
Yeah. You know, my wishes would be different from your wishes.
But I think it's the notifications, right, Kevin? That you take the option of notification, whether or not you want to hear from.
No, I understand that.
The city will have their buttons.
The app's gonna be.
Is that correct? He's shaking his.
That's correct. These buttons here are dictated by the city when it's set up, but
Right.
in regards to the notification, I as the app user can
No,
pick
I understand
topics that I'm interested in.
I understand the notifications. That's like what you already have on the website. Okay, and that makes perfect sense. I was just thinking about the first menu, being able for the user to configure it for their own personal preferences. You know, like myself, I'd like to have the link to the page where the agenda comes up. Okay.
Very common button.
What was one of the other things I would think? Oh, I can see the concern about if you make it easy on the app to be able to report things, that you're going to maybe get a lot more reports. I know there's things where I see that I don't necessarily, you know, go home and get on the computer and make a report, but if you had the app, you'd do it right there. So I can see concerns about staff time for that. I think that's about all that came to mind. It sounds like a good thing, so.
Anybody else?
I'm just looking at the Stanislaus version of it now, and I'm just wondering how many expected downloads and usage are we expecting from this? Are we like, and how are we gonna advertise this to people as well?
Is that all your questions?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
So
you.
we would like to get, you know, we have one customer that actually has more downloads than residents because they have a lot of businesses that reside there, so they get a lot of people in the surrounding communities. So it's really on the effort that goes into marketing it that we see that download success or lack thereof. And we actually have a marketing team that will be assigned to your account to work with you on content and some strategies to share with you guys to help get the word out. This is an example of a launch kit that we built for someone where we create a bunch of different graphics and content, all branded for the city of Turlock with QR codes on them for different uses to put the word out there. We also always share best practices from other customers that have done well with it, different things that they've done out in the world, whether they're social media posts like you're seeing here. This is a mayor showing how easy it was for her to download the app, different events in the community that folks have featured and signage. And this customer has a huge library, so they create bookmarks. So we're gonna really try to work with the city. As you guys know your community better than anyone at our company could. Obviously, y'all live there, you work there, you're elected there, and try to support you with graphics and content that makes sense for your marketing effort.
Nobody else?
And the expected downloads, I had asked that question back in September. You said 40%, so like 40% of people over 18. Like, what are we? Is that correct?
I'm not tracking. Did you understand the question, Kev?
Kevin, did you hear the question?
Part two
I
of
did
Ryan.
not, I'm sorry.
Part two of Ryan's question was how many downloads should we expect? So, can you cover that?
Again, the expectation of download is tough to say because it really depends on the marketing effort that's put in. We see anywhere from like 2% to an 80%, penetration rate on the downloads relevant to the population. Really, again, it's dependent on the effort. If you launch the app, put out one Facebook post and mention it at one council meeting, you'll find you probably don't garner as many as folks that like each month where it really becomes part of the ethos. It's in your email signatures as staff members, the download links. It's featured on your website in some sort of graphical form with the download link. When you do events, you're giving out little cards. It's discussed. It's maybe on the bottom of the agenda in the footer. Different ways and strategies that it's not a temporary thing. It's like, oh, this is like part of the community. It's 2024. Everyone has a phone. This is something that y'all will want to access. And if you keep your foot on the gas pedal, I think you'll find, a really good download rate. In our first year with a customer, we would like to always hope to get between 15 and 20% as just an initial goal. But, over time, we of course want to see that number go way up.
So you said 4 to 6 weeks, so like the 14th of February, you'll have this done? March 1st, if we approve it?
Expected launch date, Kevin, if they approve it tonight?
Well, let's see. Let me just look at the calendar. So if y'all approve it tonight, let's say we do a kickoff call next week, you're looking at, like maybe that second week of March is very realistic.
Not too bad. Anybody else? Travis, come on.
Yeah, I think it's on paper, it looks like a really good idea. I have questions on, city staff and city council for a couple of the planned directions. Maybe when we're talking about events, are we talking about all the events that are happening in Turlock? Can someone apply to the city and say, hey, I have an event going on, or submit it into the app and then you guys approve it and put it on, so that if the school is doing a crab feed or the FFA is doing something, is that something you're looking to put on there, or is it just city sanctioned events like we're hosting our business center thing? And then the other thing to maybe help with staff time on initializing all the businesses. I mean, I don't know. Is that something that the business owner can go on and there's a button on the business thing where it says add business, and they can fill out everything, and then on the it doesn't go up automatically, but a city staff member can just verify it and approve it and save some staff time? Is that an option, or at least to save staff time instead of them having to input every business in Turlock and go dig them up? You can have them fill out a paper and submit it in to go onto the app. That way, it's kind of an on basis thing with people who want to join. But yeah, I mean, I think this is definitely an interesting concept, and I would love just to, if not approved tonight, explore the details of the successes they could have.
Anybody else? Okay, let's close public comment. Any other?
Regarding the community events type calendar button, I think we have something similar to that on the website now, so that's something we can explore, and I think any organization can add to that too. As far as adding businesses on their own, we'd have to check with GoGov and see what that looks like. It looks like no, so staff would have to enter those one by one.
Oh, wow.
Or Kevin, is there some type of mass upload link where if you upload a spreadsheet in a certain format, it will populate the app?
Like I said, we do unlimited support and training and services. So if y'all sent us a spreadsheet with all the businesses and you want a button that features every business in the city, we'll get it entered in there for you. It's not a problem at all.
We can always send out something to the businesses and ask them to.
Overall,
submit.
launching in this project is probably about 10 hours of staff time all in from start to finish.
What's the will?
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Abram?
Yes.
Councilmember Pixel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Franco?
Yes.
Councilmember Moniz?
Yes.
Mayor Bublak?
Yes, it passes 5-0. Thank you, Director Sims.
Thanks, David.
Mr. Vargas, you've been there all night. You ready?
Thank you.
Do you remember why you're here?
My crowd's gone, so not as fun. But all right, before you guys,
No audience.
good night, council. We have an item approving revisions to the community events and activities grant application, scoring sheet, and grant process overall, as recommended by the Parks, Arts, and Recreation Commission. So I'm just going to highlight some of the major things that the commission decided to change, given how popular the program has become, how long the process took this last time. Last time we had 30 events that presented, well, technically 29, one pulled out. But there was a total of 82,000 that was requested then. We only had 50,000. We only anticipated getting more popular. So the commission wanted to kind of streamline the process and put some things in place. So as far as the process goes, they want to establish, or they established a subcommittee, assuming this moves forward, to vet the applications rather than saying if we have 100 applicants, all 100 are going to come and present. So establishing a subcommittee to vet those applications so that that subcommittee can then bring that to one of the commission meetings and say, hey, we recommend these number of applicants to come forward and present. And then, so that was a big difference. Another is limiting the number of applications per entity to 3, limiting their presentation time, because we had it at 5 minutes. We figured we already have their application and it's already detailed. We've added some things, the budget, to make it more uniform. So they should realistically be able to give it to us in 3 minutes versus doing 5. Not everybody does 5 minutes, but just to also keep it in line with what we do here. On the scoring sheet itself, removing one element of the funding request, it was B, and eliminating comparing to other applications, because if you're the first one, you're really not getting compared to anybody. So just some things to tighten it up, and adding a 7th section that's kind of just like an overall presentation of what's presented in the application and the presentation. I would be happy to answer any questions regarding the commission's recommendation to change these things to kind of tighten up. Oh, the other major thing, after the last, we had requests from our city attorney and administration to ask for supporting documentation for nonprofits and for-profits. So we added that language in there on the forefront, and everything you see here, hard copy. I'm actually working on getting into Community Pass, which is our electronic system that we do 90-something% of our registration. So going electronic with a lot of things. So everything you see in paper will actually be more streamlined with Community Pass. They'll be able to do their document uploads. So we'll get that all in the beginning, because it's a required field with the application versus hunting it down after the fact. So assuming it gets approved here, we can start advertising for February 1 open. Applications due by the end of February. Meeting in March, special meeting in April, get it approved with the budget in June. That way, July 1, these are all ready to go.
Questions for Mr. Vargas? Okay, open it to the public. Come on, Barbara. Ooh, Barbara beat you. Gotta get that hand up quicker.
I wasn't actually going to speak tonight, but I can't resist. I want to commend Juan for doing a great job on the
She might be
summary.
on that committee.
Yeah, I'm on the committee, and I want to say, as a member of the committee, the previous form was flat out confusing, and it didn't match the application form. So what we did was we went through and we made the application form a lot more logical and I think fair. And then we made sure that the scoring sheet actually matched the application form so that we didn't confuse ourselves. So, because we're confused enough. So that's all I need to say.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Barbara.
Lori?
I just want to say, yay, last year was painful, painfully long. My only question is, when you say 3 entities, how does that, I'm not sure,
Definition.
clarification what that means. Thank you.
So definition of,
So if we have a business that comes forward and they're just like, we want to have 3 different events. So for the downtown, you might have to do it under, because I know a lot of it was under like the business owner committee or the TDPOA. So rather than it being under the TDPOA umbrella, like you can still do up to 3 under the TDPOA umbrella. But then so let's say TDPOA is doing 4th of July, Festival of Lights, Love Yourself, just throwing 3 that I remembered off the top of my head. The others might have to be, or will have to be under that individual business. So if Alegria would need to submit under Alegria for their Halloween event that they do, not under the TDPOA umbrella. There's no points plus or minus for profit versus nonprofit, so that's irrelevant. It's just to kind of share the love with the money that's available. I think it kind of also looks better for the public. It's not like, oh, this one entity is getting all this money. It's just like, yeah, well, this one entity encompasses the entire downtown district, or it's actually several different organizations within that umbrella that are getting it. So for the downtown specifically, more applications is per organization, not just the Downtown Property Owners Association and the Business Owners Committee.
Yeah, I'm just gonna come up because the TDPOA has been a big part of this grant process for many years, and obviously I do support a lot of the changes that are within here. It's a great package that they've presented before you. The scoring metric was off, outdated, I should say. There was a lot of presentations that came up to it that just didn't qualify for what the grant was written for, that were or for a big stretch. So when people are given 15-minute presentations, we had 30 of them 29 of them that night. I mean, we were there till 1 a.m. So I did definitely, to streamline this, to not waste everyone's time. There's a lot of good in there. The only one that was just talked about was that to put it into one entity, which I totally get why you guys would want to do that. It did look very heavily on the TDPOA and the Business Owners Committee. There's a lot of events that happen in the downtown corridor because we want them to happen in the downtown corridor. The TOT that this comes from, ideally it's supposed to come from the TOT tax, and and it's supposed to generate more. It's supposed to be an investment so that next year's fund, it can grow to $50,000, from $30,000 to $50,000. So every year we can give more money to bring more events, to bring more people, more taxes. So we try to encourage all those that were applying, that did their business in the downtown district, that we wanted to encompass them and help them out with the process. And then also we were trying to make it easier to, so when the funds get released and to help manage them and make sure that they're done right, we were just trying to be like a big brother entity to help make sure everything was done right. But if that definitely, if that doesn't fit, I just want to explain why we do that process. But if it doesn't fit in the model or it just doesn't look right, I mean it doesn't change. We can still tell them, hey, you got to submit it through your own thing. But we're still going to be here to help you and encourage events to be downtown. I know that there was some worry about the downtown getting a lot of the funds, because in my mind, the way that it was judged on a point schedule, the downtown has the perfect venue to rack up those points to score higher on the scoring grade, because it's supposed to impact local businesses. There's not too many venues that Turlock has, so when you're talking about how it's going to impact other outside businesses, the downtown probably has the bigger, in my mind, upset on that one. If you go to the fairgrounds, of course, the event is still in Turlock. How likely, if you have vendors at the fairground, how likely are they to come downtown and eat? They might, but the scoring schedule. So we do approve it, and I do believe that just so you guys know, the downtown is going to work with trying to pull back some of our applications. One year, you guys, if you don't mind, one year you guys didn't have enough applications, so you opened it up for a second round. So we might just talk about pulling back, let everyone do their thing, and then if you guys open it up for a second round, which I would strongly encourage, if you don't get people, then we can apply to try to open it up for.
Thank you. They start talking really fast.
To address one of the other things that he mentioned.
We did get 1 second. Is there anybody else who wants to talk? Okay, close public, go ahead.
To address one of the things that he mentioned about, like, we don't want to make it seem like we're pointing at downtown, but one of the things that my staff deal with is when they're following up, when they want to know, like, hey, where's the money? Where's that check? Because they're in charge of their event, so they want the money so that they can take care of it. They're calling us saying, like, hey, where's my money? It's just like, well, it's not technically your organization's money, it's the downtown. So we're just like, get in contact with Travis, because the check was one check that was mailed to the TDPOA. So this will also help with that. So if I have a business downtown and I'm running my event, the check's gonna come to me versus the downtown to fund it. I understand the whole, like, just helping them through the process. By all means, still help them through the process, because you guys have been through it and are experts by now. But it also helps us on the staff side with the customer service aspect of it, of where are the funds, when are you guys gonna get them, where did they get sent to?
One question on the list of items that are required for the for-profit organizations regarding the debt to the city, is that like just an attestation about what it is?
Essentially
'Cause
with a business license, because if you have a current valid business license, you're not going to have a debt to the city. So as long as because sometimes it slips because it happens twice a year. It's busy times. It's at the new year in July 1. So when it comes through, it's like, oh, your business license is lapsed. You owe finance $80-something. So it's just like, oh, that's pay off your debt to the city. You now have a current business license.
Is it only the business license fee, or like water, sewer, garbage, that kind of
It's
stuff
just
too?
the business license, because if not, we would have to look at, do they have anything with water, sewer, with a building permit?
We need to hire
rec
more people
programs,
to give money away.
dog license, whatever it might be. Like, we'd have to check with a lot of different things to see. So we check with
Sure.
that, because everyone else, they have an avenue
Government.
to collect on. We just need verification that they can do business and that they're current on their license.
Just slightly off topic, but are we working towards once a year business license as opposed to two?
Yes, we are. Kind of streamlined in the sense of the way what the format and forms look like and communication.
Thank you. All right, what's the will of council? No, you just scolded me. Go ahead.
I'm loath to do this because the committee and staff did such great work, but I'd like the motion to include in a form approved by the city attorney, because we have some regulatory issues that we're working on that'll come back, and so
So you want
I
your name
promise
on
the
it?
tweaking will be minimal to the committee and to the staff, so. What's that?
You want your name on it?
I don't want there to be inconsistencies
Thank
in the
you.
future on what the city is asking of different programs.
Understood.
Motion to approve.
With the added?
Yes.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Abram?
Yes.
Councilmember Vixel?
Mr. Rowe.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Franco?
Yes.
Councilmember Moniz?
Yes.
Mayor Bublak?
Yes, passes 5-0. Thank you for staying all night. It's almost like doing that thing again, huh? Bring a pillow next time. All right. City manager reports and updates, Mr. Wilson.
I was only gonna point out,
You want to hit that? Thank you.
only gonna point out that tomorrow will be the point in time count. And we're all teed up from a staff perspective, and we have 28 volunteers helping to do that.
All righty. Council items for future consideration. Nothing? Council comments, announcements? Nothing? Kevin?
Awesome job to Turlock Fire on their crab feed. It was scrumptious.
Something? Nothing. Just want to let you know that I safely brought back the chief from DC. Oh, no, you brought me. That's right. So we did a lot of walking, a lot of talking. He'll be able to update you with some things that are going to come forward. We also did a lot of talking about what the sewer and water situations look like and how we can get money, because we don't want to have to put it on the onus of the public. So Mr. Fisher is happy to see, I'm sending him a ton of stuff already, but there's a lot of opportunity, really good conversations, and people are already sending us, this is how you can get this money, and I'll take it any way we can get it. And then I've been working personally for my, not city funds, to get to LA today, or yesterday and today, and in Sacramento for public safety concerns. So hopefully I'll be able to get some announcements out there at some point. Madam Clerk. Closed session?
For closed session, we have Public Employee Performance Evaluation, California Government Code 54957B1, title City Manager.
We will report out should there be something. Thank you, and have a good, safe evening.
guess we are.
Is it there, thumbs up? Okay. When we're back, there's nothing to report, and so we will be adjourned until 2 weeks.
Yeah,
It started in
you got on the list, man, all of a sudden it's like, what the? I was gonna fake